City Council meeting. The clerk will call the roll for attendance.
Anderson Burgos.
Here.
Bartley.
Here.
Givner.
Here.
Jourdain.
Here.
Maldonado Velez.
Here.
McGee.
Here.
McGivern, sorry.
Here.
Murphy Ramboletti.
Here.
Coelho. Israel Rivera.
Here.
Jenny Rivera.
Here.
Tallman.
Here.
Bacon.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
the City of Holyoke.
And the City Council.
The mayor's budget.
Amen.
We chose the name. Councilor Tallman will go first for voting, just so everyone knows.
Who's going first?
Councilor Tallman,
Okay.
we put yours first, but then we threw it back in.
Oh,
Okay,
you're a pal. Thank you. Appreciate that.
First item on the agenda is the budget, and that'll be taken up on June 13th. So next would be public comment. I do have a list for public comment, which is, first name I really can't read, but it's 67 Center Street, Holyoke, Ventura. Come on up. So up to the microphone. It's a minute and a half, around the minute mark. I'll just kind of let you know. I'm not trying to interrupt you. Just make sure it's on. Can you tap it? There's a switch underneath.
Is it on?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
So anyone speaking, just state your full name, your address, and you'll go from there. Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, everybody. My name is Betsaida Ventura, and I live here in Holyoke at 67 Center Street. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about the Fair Share Amendment, which is a priority for 1199 SEIU, the labor movement, and many in our community. The Fair Share Amendment is a constitutional amendment that will be at the ballot this November. It would add a 4% tax to the portion of a person's income earned over $1 million. The new revenue generated by the tax between $1 and $2 million a year would be spent on quality public education, affordable public higher education, repairs and maintenance of roads, bridges, and public transportation. This is a once-in-a-generational opportunity to bring billions in sustainable new revenue to our communities, particularly for Western Mass and our gateway cities that are often overlooked by the rest of the state. The rich got richer during the COVID pandemic, but working families and small businesses continue to get hit hard. The Massachusetts economy is working great for those on the top, but a prosperity isn't reaching us all. For years, the highest income households in Massachusetts have paid a small share in their income in state and local taxes than any other income groups, while repeatedly benefiting from federal tax cuts. As we come out of the pandemic, we need to make our tax system fairer in order to grow our economy and make it work for everyone. This November, people from all walks of life are coming together to create better schools and
We're at our
transportations.
time. Just try and finish up, just so you know.
With the Fair Share Amendment, we can make the Massachusetts tax system fairer and make the big investments we've been putting off. New public school buildings with great educators, safer roads and bridges, affordable public colleges, access to vocational education and job training programs, fast, reliable public transportation, and pre-K classrooms for every child. If we don't address these problems now, they'll only hold back our economy and hurt working families. It's time for the very rich to pay their fair share so we can recover from pandemic and rebuild a Massachusetts economy that's stronger than ever. I ask you to vote for the Fair Share Amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is, looks like Linwood, 77 Pleasant Street, if I'm saying that right. Sorry if I'm not.
Hi, it's Lydia Wood,
Lydia. Oh.
77 Pleasant Street in East Hampton. And I'm the executive director for the Western Mass Area Labor Federation. We represent.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to suspend our rules to allow, yep, go ahead.
Can we suspend the rules to allow Leader Wood to speak?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And now.
Okay, thank you. So I'm the executive director of the Western Mass Area Labor Federation. We represent about 67 different unions and workers from all different industries, and 30,000 workers from across Western Mass, including thousands of union members in Holyoke. And one of our priorities is to see the passage of the Fair Share Amendment this November. We support it for two main reasons. One is it's going to bring an estimated $2 billion annually in sustainable new revenue and investments to help our public schools, improve our regional transportation authorities, fix our roads. In Massachusetts, we have 600 structurally deficient bridges. This new revenue can finally be a sustainable way of investing in that. And we also support this out of fairness. This is the fairest way to raise the revenue we need to invest in our communities and working families. Only 0.6% of Massachusetts households will see their income or their taxes rise under the Fair Share Amendment, while the rest of us will all share in the benefits.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Amy.
Me.
Oh, Amy.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Amy Kalandrella.
Okay.
I live at 75 Merrick Avenue in Holyoke. I'm also here to ask the City of Holyoke to support the Fair Share Amendment. The voters of Massachusetts will decide. It'll be on the ballot in November, but I think it could make a difference for a city council to vote in support of the Fair Share Amendment as well. You all know the ballot questions in November. It's very confusing. There's lawn signs, yes and no. What does it mean? There's a lot of trying to sway public opinion. I wanted to come out tonight as a Holyoke resident and as a member of the Area Labor Federation to be able to ask us to support it. The reasons I'm in support of the Fair Share Amendment are based on principle and also self-interest. On principle, enough is enough. I make $60,000 a year as a construction worker. $1 million is a lot more than that. I think $1 million is enough. And 4%, we're talking about $4 over every $100 over $1 million. And it would all be reinvested into public funds. Enough is enough. And second, on self-interest.
Not a minute.
I'm a construction worker. I like when we put money into roads and bridges. I like working in Massachusetts. I've worked in Holyoke before. I worked on the canals, the bridge over the canals in Lyman. I worked on the Connecticut River. But I've also gone to work in Vermont and New Hampshire when there hasn't been enough work here, and I hate it. I hate having an hour-and-a-half commute. I hate leaving Massachusetts. I hate leaving Holyoke. I want enough money in a public infrastructure budget so I can work the rest of my career in my hometown and be able to provide my labor in that way. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Last on the list is Patrick, I'm going to say Burke, 43 Pearl Street.
Hi, Patrick Burke, 43 Pearl Street, Holyoke, Massachusetts. Thank you for hearing us all today. Let's see. Yeah, I'm also wear a hat with the Area Labor Federation, but I'm also the president of United Auto Workers Local 2322. We have 3,000 members throughout Western Mass, including many here in Holyoke. I'll just speak as a Holyoke resident for a second. This is the Fair Share Amendment. It's a constitutional amendment that is specific. If you actually read the amendment itself, that's very specifically, just 4% of income over $1 million, and it has to go to public education and transportation. And so, even here in Holyoke, I can imagine, the resources that Holyoke Community College could use that, that we can use, to support our public transit system, right next to the PVTA station. When we don't invest in these things, the problem is that, fares go up.
Add a minute.
Fares go up, tuition goes up. And for, members that I represent in human services and childcare, they're reliant on the public funds to be able to support their work. So if we're investing in education, if we're investing like we're able to with the Fair Share Amendment, it's going to help this community especially. So I just want, again, strongly encourage everyone here to support it and show Holyoke supports this ballot amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online? So there's no one online. I do have 2 emails from public comment. Good evening. My name is Brianna Capon. I am at 192 West Franklin Street in Holyoke. I'm a constituent of Holyoke. I'd like to voice my support and encourage you, our City Council, to endorse the Fair Share Amendment. As a public school teacher, I acknowledge the importance of proper funding, and education seems always to be on the chopping block at the state level. The Fair Share Amendment will allow Massachusetts to improve our transportation public education system by making the very rich pay their fair share. Only people who earn more than $1 million annually will be impacted. 99% of us won't pay a penny more and will benefit from better schools, roads, bridges, and public transportation. The pandemic hit our community and small businesses hard, while the wealthier saw their profits and income soar. It is time for the top to help pay for the services we deservingly need. Proper funding in school raises our communities out of poverty and crime. Proper funding in schools can address the growing mental health pandemic among the students after the funding of COVID-related changes. Therefore, I implore you to endorse the FSA and get the funding we need. Then there's one from Linda Capon, same address. I'm a constituent in Holyoke. I'd like to voice my support for the council to endorse the Fair Share Amendment. And it's the exact same paragraph that I read. Thank you to implore you to endorse the FSA so that our communities get the funding we need. Thank you, Linda Capon. Is there anyone else? That's here, online, and from the emails. Next is,
Communications?
yeah, I'm just looking. Oh, okay, all right. Just want to get rid of that. All right, communications. Yep.
Can I make a motion to take item 23A out of order, since we have folks from the public here?
Motion is to
Second
go
that.
out of order to 23A. That was seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Committee on DGNR, who was referred in order a resolution to support the Fair Share Amendment. Recommend that the order be referred to the City Council. Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti.
Thank you. So I will allow the maker of the order to speak on this, but we actually just referred this to full committee so that folks could take the opportunity to vote on this. And we had a lively discussion, and I will personally be supporting this myself. I think there's, we just met with the school department yesterday for about an hour going over their budget and just the need for additional sources of revenue. And so I really believe that this is an opportunity for us to access revenue without putting the burden on the taxpayers and small businesses, because they are definitely not the folks, a majority of them are not the folks that will be impacted by this. So it is a non-binding resolution, but I think for the council to send a message is really important. But with that, I will turn it over to the maker, Councilor Maldonado Velez.
Maldonado Velez.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti. You were signed on when we introduced it, so I guess we're all technically makers. Councilor Givner, Anderson Burgos, Jenny Rivera, Israel Rivera, thanks for signing on. You took a lot of what I was gonna say right out of my mouth. It's a non-binding resolution. We're right now in the middle of the budget process, and there's a lot of cuts, and I think this one in particular is addressing two areas that I think the millionaire class themselves should be thinking of investing in. We all use roads to get to our work. We all need the education to make sure that we are in management positions or whatever it is to run these organizations that these millionaires are also a part of. So this is an investment in the people of the Commonwealth. And some of the things that I heard last time, one of them being, what is the history, what has it stand for? So this resolution, something similar has been put before the state before, but it was put forward by the citizens, and the process is different. This time, this ballot initiative is being put by the legislative body, so it holds more, and it will be in the ballot come this November. As of course, Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti said, Councilor McGivern said during the DGR meeting, it's a non-binding thing. For me, this is about a message that Holyoke, specifically, we need more revenue. And how do we get to the people with the money? I believe that they should, like I said, they should be in support of this as well. The only thing I wanted to do, though, is, one, actually, before I go into that, thank you for everyone that came out and speak in support of this. Really appreciate your words today. The fourth, whereas, 1, 2, 3, 4. So during the DGR meeting, there was wanted to clarify around that. So I don't know if I should make an amendment now to change that fourth whereas, or if we want to keep discussing, or.
Well, so that would be the Holyoke has 11 out of 11 structural deficit bridges. What do you want to change?
So it's just to clarify, it was just like Holyoke owns 11 bridges that are all in need of repair and more than $15 million in cost to address our overdue road repair and replacement projects. I think the 11 out of 11 was tripping some people up in the language. The conversation with city engineer Bob Parent. The bridges that were recently fixed are Mass DOT. So the 11 that are on here are the 11 bridges that the city owns, and they're all in need of repair. So I don't know if we feel like this is clear enough as a body, but I just wanted to tweak it to make sure that we are clear as to how much repair our city needs, in case anyone was unclear as to how much work our city needs.
I mean, if you read it, Holyoke has 11 structurally deficient bridges, more than $12.5 million to cost to address the overdue. I mean, the out of 11, so it's just saying there's 11 and all 11 need help. So I'm not sure how that tripped anyone up. I mean, it doesn't trip me up, but if you want, we can amend it.
I'm good. If you're feeling good, I'm good with it. Those are.
And Councilor Bacon was next.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I understand the argument about sending a message, but I guess the message that I want to send is different, because voters have already voted twice in the last 10 to 15 years to our legislature to cut income taxes. And it fell on deaf ears, and what did they do? They've increased income taxes. This is just another workaround by a legislature that I think is more and more out of touch with the regular people to amend our Constitution to do another money grab. I'm totally opposed to it. You can call me the loyal opposition. And they have billions of dollars. They're supposed to be the good stewards of our dollars. With all the money that they are so flush with, giving themselves significant raises, they should be being the stewards to the cities like ours, the gateway cities. And they should be out there advocating for us with the funds that are already there. There's a lot of money that's coming into our state house. And so I just think this is an overreach to amend our Constitution in this way. Thank you.
Anyone further? Seeing none, so the motion is to receive and adopt the resolution as it was presented from the committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
The ayes would have it. Go back.
Communication number 2.
Communication number 2 is from the mayor, a letter reappointing Mr. Francis Hoy, Lexington Ave, the Service Commissioner of Gas and Electric. Will be
I'll
a
make a
6-year
motion
term.
to approve the appointment.
I'll second that.
Motion is to approve and reappoint which will expire July 1, 2028. All those in favor? Councilor
I'm
Bartley.
going to speak in favor briefly. Fran's just, we're very fortunate to have him. This is a great reappointment by Mayor Garcia. I just want to compliment the mayor on this. Fran adds so much intellectual heft as a WPI graduate, as a long-term veteran at Ty and Bond, as a lifelong Holyoker whose father was the head of Mass DOT in Western Mass Division 2 for years, his brother engineers. This is just a really a great appointment. I encourage any counselor to go to a G&E meeting or to call Fran and to introduce yourselves. You're just going to learn a lot. He's just got that kind of intellectual capacity, and so we're very fortunate to have somebody of that stature remaining. Thank you.
Anyone further?
Mr. President.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, very briefly, just to add on to what Councilor Bartley said, I also wanted to speak in favor of Mr. Hoey's reappointment. Here's a gentleman who's been on since at least the mid-90s on there and provides a level of gravitas to the board, and I think the mayor is wise to have. We've got some newer commissioners there, and it's nice to have some level of continuity, and Fran does a very nice job and definitely deserved reappointment. I'm glad he's willing to stay on the commission. That's a lot of work, and he's made a huge commitment to this department for many, many years. So we thank him for his continued service.
Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. I've known Fran for a number of years, and he's definitely an asset to the G&E Commission. He's been there for several years. He does the job. He has a great knowledge of the G&E, and I'm glad the mayor did choose to reappoint him.
Seeing no one further, for the appointment, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Mr. President, can we take 3 and 9 together as a package, please, and ship them to
Public service?
Service, please.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules, take up 3 and 9 as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 3 is Mr. Chung to the Commissioner of Planning Board, which will be a 3-year term. 9 is as Park and Recreation, Mr. Reynolds, to his position starting as Park and Rec Director, Tommy Reynolds. That would be June 13th. Those to public service. All those in favor?
Aye.
That brings us to 4. This is,
Motion to take up item 4 and approve the
so this is the appointment
second.
of Lisa Ball as city solicitor. Motion is to approve. Any discussion?
To suspend the rules to approve.
Yes,
Just
suspend the
one
rules. to
question.
approve.
Mr.
Any
President.
discussion? Counselor Bartley.
Yeah, I'm all favor of approving it, but I just, is there a contract? Is there an appointment term? I don't think, well, I'll stand corrected. Did Lisa must have come in when you first appointed her, correct? She had to have come in.
She did.
Okay, all right, so that's great. So is there a term?
So I'll read the letter. Please be advised that the acting city solicitor has been appointed to the position of city solicitor effective July 1, 2022. Attorney Ball's annual salary will be $94,000, which is a GR 13, and will be paid from the GL account 115-115-1101. Thank you for your attention to this matter, the mayor. So it's just an appointment. There's no set
contract.
years.
Is that typical?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm not making a motion to suspend the rules and appoint her.
Counselor Jordan.
Yeah, I believe at one time, correct me if I'm wrong, and I didn't know we were going to do this, but I believe we had made the charter, it states a term of office coterminous with the mayor for the solicitor. Now, of course, that was when the mayor's term was 2. I don't know if when we extended the mayor's term to 4, did we extend this now to a 4-year term? It might be worth taking a quick look at, just that I'm all in favor of whether it's 2 or 4, because I'm obviously a big fan of this person.
I can do better. I can actually call up the city solicitor and ask her. I have that knowledge that she might be in the building.
I think she's.
There she is. I don't know if she's researched this or not, but I do remember, I mean, I would be in favor of suspending the rules to allow her to address
Suspend
this.
the rules to allow the solicitor to speak. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Hello.
Hello.
So what I was sitting here thinking as you're asking that question is, yes, I mean, traditionally, it's the 2-year term of the mayor. I'm not aware that it's been changed in the charter, but, I mean, you serve at will, really at the pleasure of the mayor. That's really always the way it's been. So I'd say, it's the 4-year term unless he decides, that he doesn't want to keep me, and then he has the right to say he wants to appoint someone else.
Okay. That makes sense. I just wonder, I remember, so I do want to just say, though, there is technically, when we ask the question, is there a term? There is actually a term of the mayor's appointment. I'm not sure if it does require council okay to remove somebody earlier than that. That may be the case. Again, I haven't researched this recently. Some of this stuff went to the back of my mind when I left, but I will get reacclimated soon. But I did want to just speak in favor of Lisa. I think it was a tragedy that she was not kept in this position 10 years ago. We would be in a much better place today had Lisa Ball been our solicitor 10 years ago. And she faithfully served in the Pluta administration, and I certainly spoke on her behalf when I was council president to Mayor Morse. Obviously, my lack of influence in that administration is well documented, so this was just another example. But nevertheless, I did speak on her behalf, and I think it would have been wise that she had been reappointed then. I think it's wonderful how all these things sort of come around full circle. And here she is again, stepping up to help the city of Holyoke. She's bright, she's energetic, she does the job, she's completely independent, looking to get to the right answer, and what more can we ask for than somebody like that? So I think it's wonderful that Mayor Garcia also sees that in her, and he has now supported her for appointment to this position, and I am more than thrilled to support her for this position. Thank you.
Section 34, term consistent with the appointing mayor to be confirmed by the city council. So the term is based on the mayor as long as we approve it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too wholeheartedly support this immediate confirmation to this position. In the short time that Attorney Ball has been in that office, she has accomplished a huge amount of rebuilding, and there is a level of professionalism in the office that is one to be proud of for our city. And so I hope we will all unanimously support this confirmation. Thank you.
Anyone further? Well, I'll say there that, when I reached out to Lisa for my very brief term as mayor, as Kevin said, she stepped right up and helped out the city, and her view was it'll be temporary. I'm glad it's not temporary. So thank you for staying on. One thing I did do, Councilor Bartley did say something nice and said I did a good job for once. So I recorded that, Councilor Bartley, and I
We'll just
kept
play it on
recording.
loop. We'll play it on loop.
That would be a rare comment. I'm not going to deny that. But I did say it, and I recall it.
It's kept. All right. If no one else, motion or to grant the confirmation. We don't need a roll call for this one, Kevin, do we? I don't think we do.
I don't think so.
On this one. So all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes would have it.
All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome back.
All right. 5 is from city clerk and from our administrative assistant, which is the May 17th, 2022 minutes.
Make a motion that they be received and approved.
A second.
Receive and approve. Any questions or concerns on them? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 6 is from Counselor Maldonado Velez regarding 988 number. It's just a-
Supposed to go with, sorry.
Behavioral health emergency line. All right, I got the.
Can I suspend the rules, take up items 6 and 36 together and send it to public safety and 36, yeah. I would say public safety, and since it's talking about money finance or copy to finance until it, after it gets spoken at public safety. Yeah.
So,
Learning the
6
process.
is a communication from behavioral health emergency line. And then 36, so motions received, take them up as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 36 from Councilor Maldonado Velez, order that we fund the public safety line item with $200,000 to create a Department of Public Care and Safety for the, so this would, I'd say go to public safety first, and then you'd have to get an appropriation from the mayor.
Okay.
To then go to.
Yeah, it would,
Yeah, Councilor
to
McGivern.
answer the counselor's question, it would be more when the appropriation came in, then
Okay.
we would, go to finance.
Okay, cool.
But
Alright,
public
so-
safety can handle it, they're very well equipped.
So 36
One-
and 6 to public safety.
One suggestion.
Yep, Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, to Counselor Maldonado Velez, technically, there is a provision in state law, it's, I believe it's Chapter 4433A, that states that where the mayor has not made an appropriation for an item, the city council can vote to request him to add it to the budget, and if he doesn't, we can vote to add it to the budget. Just thought you might want to know that. That's any appropriated item that upon request of the mayor, it's the only time in state law that you're allowed to add to a budget under that 4433A provision, but you have to request him to add it. It has to have been you can't add to an item. It has to be something that's zero. And then which is this, and you're asking him to add it to the budget. You do have that power to do that. Just food for thought.
Well, thank you.
All right, so 36 and 6 to public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
7 is from the Law Department, the MOA for the Local 1459.
President, if we could receive this and refer to the agenda for June 13th for the final budget review.
So motion would be to receive and send it to the June 13th meeting. I think we have to make sure it's posted correctly. We have to add it to the agenda and post it for, okay. Councilor McGivern.
Just real quick, we learned last night, and I think over the last couple of weeks, that there are monies in the budget that are earmarked towards, there are 9 contracts that are up, and there are 2 that are presently being negotiated, this being one of the 2. The money, I was led to understand that the money for this contract is actually in the fiscal budget. Therefore, it makes sense that we have this to read over the weekend and be able to, if we need, to vet it out during the budget hearing itself.
Anyone further? So motion is received, refer to the June 13th meeting, and that will be updated to add this for the final budget. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 8 is from School Committee Member Rebecca Burks, which was her resignation effective July 29th, 2022. Motion be to receive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And we're going to send it to HR to advertise?
So there is an order, I do have an order, and
Okay.
the solicitor sent in, I think everyone got the email, or maybe it was just me, I gotta reread that, but stating who can be appointed in the process, and the mayor will call for the meeting, which is a joint meeting of the council and school committee.
School committee.
So
Okay,
then what
motion
we'll
to
do
suspend the
is we'll
rules.
have people send,
Why don't we just take 42 up now, Todd?
want to do that?
I'll second.
Suspend the rules, take up 42 with 8. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So 42 from myself, that the city council and school committee hold a joint meeting to appoint the new Ward 3 committee member following the resignations of Rebecca Burks. So this would be received and we'll refer it to the mayor, and then he'll call for that joint meeting. And at that point in time, once he's, basically anyone can send in a resume cover letter to HR, and then that would be given to us for that joint meeting.
Can we just say add a copy to personnel?
Yep.
So that she can do that?
Counselor Bacon.
Just a point of information, is this the situation where anybody who is named can be voted in, or do they have to apply affirmatively?
I think it's anyone you want to vote for. You can vote for whoever you want.
Okay, I just
Right.
wondered.
Yeah,
It's a ballot, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So a motion would be take 8 and 42, receive,
Well,
refer
just
to
a
the,
point of order on that.
Somebody in the
You can
ward.
vote for anyone you want.
In the ward.
Yeah, there's certain requirements. It can't be
There-
anyone you want. It's got to be somebody. who's-
that's where the legal opinion will be coming as to
Oh, they have to
if
be-
they're not in the ward, you can vote them in and they can move into the ward. That's what they're looking up now.
Oh.
That's what we're going to get from legal. I don't have that full answer yet. But I will have that full answer for you. Because I knew it was going to come up, and I asked the solicitor to look into it.
Well, can I just add one more thing to that? When we're looking to the law department, where I'm speaking to now, please look at the charter section that speaks about prior residency
Right.
running for any of these offices. I noticed there's certain people here going into different appointments. When did they move to Holyoke? Because there's a 2-year prior residency rule for certain city offices. And, I mean, if somebody picks somebody, Joe Banana from Chicopee to go into the Ward 3 seat, well, I'm moving to Ward 3 next week. I got an apartment. Is that legit? I don't think so, according to the charter, but, maybe.
Yeah, I will get you that answer. Because I knew it was coming. An email came to me specifically asking that question, and my answer was, well, you have to be a resident of Ward 3, but
Right.
I didn't want to give a legal opinion unless I had it looked it up.
Okay.
Hold on, Counselor Bartley. Counselor Anderson Burgos.
Thank you for acknowledging me, Mr. President. I'm just wondering, where was this, when Ward 2, former City Councilor Nelson Roman ran, he wasn't in Holyoke for 2 years. And I know this for a fact because I used to visit him in Springfield. So I'm wondering, where was this mentality of you need to be in Holyoke for 2 years? Not that I have a specific candidate in mind. I just want, if these accusations or these comments are going to be thrown out there, that we should be applying them to every single person. That's all.
We'll have the legal department give us all the information we need.
Right.
I just wanted to bring it up, full disclosure, that it is being looked into, because I knew it would come up. Counselor Jordan.
Yeah, Mr. President, the only reason I'm bringing up is if they're going to do an illegal opinion on the topic, I just want them to be comprehensive, consider all these different things and how they tie together and whatnot.
They are.
I'm just pointing it out, that's all.
They are, so that way we do it correctly.
Okay.
So with that, we're going to take 8 and 42, receive, refer to the mayor, and a copy to HR in order to get the resumes for the position. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That brings us. And before we go, I don't want to miss the opportunity, but I'd like to thank Rebecca Burks and Dennis Burks for their service to the city of Holyoke and their commitment to the schools. Just a wonderful family, and it's sad to see them go, but they definitely deserve our thanks for all the service that they gave us. So thank you very much.
It's got to be at least a good 20 years. They've been in that position, yeah.
25.
Easy.
25,
Yeah, that makes, I believe it.
Councilor McGill.
We appointed, I believe we appointed Dennis when we lost Pat Shaughnessy,
Yep.
back in, that was 90 somewhere.
Yeah.
And then there's been a Burke in the seat ever since.
Yeah.
All right, so next is mine might get attached somewhere else. This is from the chairman of Park and Rec and the vice chair letter appointing Tommy Reynolds to director, and that's already been sent to
Public service.
Public service.
10 is a resolution to file and accept the conservation grant with
We have a finance item on that. You want to do that together?
me.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman?
sorry.
I think it's 20B.
Yeah. 20B.
Suspend the rules, take up 10 and 20B as a package. All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
20B is the Committee on Finance to refer in order that in accordance with Mass General Law 50, Chapter 44, 53A, the council hereby accept the provisions of the LWCF land grant for $150,000. And this is recommended that be adopted. Along with it is a revised resolution. And I know, is Kathy's on, right? I'd say suspend
Yes, I am,
the
Counselor.
rules to have Kathy speak. I think this is one we talked about over the weekend, correct?
Yes, you're correct.
With the kids screaming in
Council
the
President.
background? Yeah, okay, I got it. All right, so I'd like to suspend the rules to allow Kathy to comment on this because there was a change.
No, second it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So, hi Kathy. Number 10, is that the correct one or was it a late file that you wanted me to take up?
I believe it was a late file that needed to be taken up because the one that was submitted to finance, we found out that the state wanted a change. So we had to make a change, and so it was a late file. At least that's my understanding of it.
As item 10? Oh, okay. All right, so Jeffrey's let me know that it was inserted as item 10, the new revised one that you're talking about.
Okay.
So we do have the correct one before us. So there's.
Okay.
So legal reached out to let me know that they had to revise the resolution to be in accordance with what the state wanted language-wise, that's all. So we're just doing what the state requested. So with that, I'll turn over to Councilor McGivern.
Can I quickly say something? Sorry to interrupt here.
Yep.
So when Irma had started the agenda before she left out of town, and she put the resolution on as its own item, which I didn't realize. So I think the actual updated version is attached to the committee report. Because I took everything over when Irma left. And it will have it should have a sticky note on it that says it's the revised version.
Yep, so okay. So
Yeah.
what Jeffrey was saying is he took the revised one and just put it in as item 10.
Oh, okay,
So
perfect.
So then we're going to take it up with 20B, so we're all on the same page now.
I know I had circulated the revised one to the entire council as well, so I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any confusion with it being attached to the order as well as being its own item.
So with that, Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee did meet with our Conservation Director, Yoni Glasgow. This is a project that's been ongoing for some time now. It goes back to with the Kestrel Land Trust and the acquisition of some land that the city has been involved with the conservation and with the city leaders themselves in terms of Anniversary Hill Park. And what the goal here is to acquire the land and to expand what we know as Anniversary Hill, which is, there's a long history to it, which with a long agenda I don't think we have to get into. But the whole purpose of this is it adds to the amount of money necessary for the requirement of the land and the development into the park known as Scotts Towers is what I call it, but Anniversary Hill. Yoni has always came in with detailed maps, detailed explanations, and he did tell us we had a resolution that we had to adopt, and that I believe he said the state was amending some of the language, so I welcome the amended language and would defer. I don't have a copy of the amended language, I don't think, but defer that to you, Mr. President. But the committee did vote in favor of recommending this be adopted this evening.
Anyone further on this one? Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, I just to the chair, I think, Joe, just so I think we're all on the same page. What's going to happen is we're going to put $300,000 into a fund ultimately, and that fund is going to be used to procure that parcel from the Kestrel Land Trust. Is that your understanding, Joe?
That's the overview of the whole project, yes.
That's the plan. So right now, we're just taking the $300,000, putting it to a dedicated account. Part of this is a resolution, part of this is a grant, and then ultimately, there'll be a property deed between Kestrel Land Trust and the City of Holyoke Parks Department, and that will be conveyed from Kestrel to City of Holyoke. I think that,
Yeah.
Joe, did I say it wrong?
No, you said it right. I'm glad you said it, Councilor Bartley, because the CPA awarded 175, 150 going into that fund, and 25 was for the preliminary site design services that I'm not sure. I think they're underway because we do have some details here, but that's that is correct.
Anyone further? So motion would be for 20B, motion would be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. A clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the grant.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Your vote, you approve that. 11 is Mackenzie Stadium lease dated
Mr.
May.
President, I like to make a motion to suspend the rules and then approve the lease now, if we may.
Second
Motion
that.
is to suspend the rules to approve the lease. Under discussion, Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. This is, finally, we're going to get on track with approving the lease, if we do it tonight, before the season actually starts. So that'll be the first time in my memory that we did this with the Blue Sox. Normally, we would send this to committee, but having reviewed this contract appears to be exactly the same standard contract that we've had with the Blue Sox. They're nothing but a credit to the city, and we should thank all the people again involved with it, the volunteers, et cetera, that really help out with the ball players and all the fans that come, et cetera. So I would hope though for down the road that we, and I said this before, it's basically it's a break even for the city in terms of the 10,000, and that's okay. But if some councilor or a mayor down the road, or a law department down the road has a thought on it, and how it might be even more beneficial to the city, I'd love to hear it. But for right now, this is the same standard contract we've had in place since I've been on this board, and I don't think it's necessary to. We've had it for several days now. I don't think it's necessary to send it to committee just to come to the same conclusion. But that's my
Is that a
take.
motion?
My motion is, well, I made the motion to suspend and approve it, so.
I'll second.
Second that,
Yes,
Mr.
it
President.
was seconded. Yep, Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur with Councilor Bartley. It's probably one of the first times we've adopted the lease and not adopting it at the end of the season like we have 1 or 2 years. We learned last night that, and this is a good thing, and Blue Sox is a good thing, that the Elms College is also renting the field. I don't know how many games or what that involves, but we've never seen the lease. So we kind of sent a friendly reminder, this is during the budget hearings, that, that lease should also come to the city council. And I'm married to a graduate of the Elms, and my youngest born is a graduate of the Elms, so I'm in favor of it, not for that reason, but because I know if I don't, I'd be in big trouble at home.
Councilor Rivera.
Like the two councilors before me, I also am in agreement with the contract, but I also am echoing Mr. Bartley's words when it comes to like in the future or down the road to see how it could possibly benefit us. Because yes, they bring people to the community, and it's a good thing to have in the community. But ultimately, it's also a very how do you say it? It's like the football field. It's something that's very attracting to the city, and we invested a lot of money into these sports venues, pretty much. So eventually, for me, it's like, when are we gonna get kind of paid back for the investments of that we have put in the past and over the years? But for now, for the time being, I totally agree with the situation.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I just want to go one step further than what Councilor Vera just said. So while I thank him for that, but I just want to say this: we can't forget, we put in the improvements, we, the taxpayers, put in the improvements to that ball field and this contract, basically, well, the ball field for perpetuity, so maybe, let me stop there, but the contract is basically for a private sector entity that is getting a really good really good contract with a premier ball field, and on top of that, they're getting all sorts of ancillary revenue that, you know, good for them. But that's why I said perhaps down the road, if the law department with the new Park and Rec Commissioner, director, you know, maybe there's a little better benefit. And I just want to make another comment to just through the chair to the finance chair. He couldn't be more right on. We have the authority, as the president knows and the finance chair knows, we approve all leases, conveyances, and my favorite one, of course, is licenses. When that little hoodwink was pulled 3 solicitors ago on us, but then we changed the ordinance, and now we approve all licenses. So anything to do with any kind of entity. I would just clarify that what the finance chair said, and he's right, that we should approve a lease. That is slightly different because that is, of course, I mean, I realize the Elms is a private school, I get it, but it's, you know, it's almost like a public type of an entity. So that's an educational thing. So I guess we could be a little more lenient on that one. But the Blue Sox are a private, for-profit company, to the best of my knowledge. You know, and maybe we could, with this contract, we could do a little bit better. But overall, Mr. President, I am a huge Blue Sox fan. I go to a bunch of games every year. So let's see if we can just get this done tonight. Thank you.
Councilor Jenny Rivera.
Question. So if we rent it out, does the Holyoke High School have access to it first?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. No doubt.
Okay. It was just brought up because Holyoke High School, the summer league, did not have access to it last year.
Well, also Holyoke High, Mr. President,
Yeah.
and then don't forget the, Cheryl, what's the, People's Bank, no, the
Tri-County.
Tri-County thing?
yeah, the Tri-County League, yeah.
So,
Tri-County League, I mean, they use it. I don't think I've ever seen anything for Tri-County, to be honest with you, it's ever come before us, but.
Yeah, the high school gets you.
But the high school uses it, Tri-County uses it, and the Blue Sox.
if, Mr. President, if I may, I think the reason is because in the high school, it's not actual, like, high school, what's the league? That the division is like NCAA, but for high school sports, it's not actual games that are happening in the fall, right, you said, or the late summer? Yeah, late summer. It's probably like interleague play or play with like people like locally just to keep your skills and your game up. And I think the contract probably takes precedent over that type of gameplay versus an actual like high school game, varsity baseball game.
Okay. I guess it was Alley's baseball league?
Yeah, the Allies.
Allies,
yeah,
yeah.
That's like an AAU.
Allies, yeah.
Ally, and that's like an AAU team. So in a sense, they would have to bid with these people, kind of, and that's not even fair. But I get, yeah. That's
not the high
situation.
school.
That's not the high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's different. Yeah. They're a private company too.
So Councilor McGivern.
That's a very important question. When we did the bonding and worked on the Roberts Field and Mackenzie Field improvements, but especially the Roberts Field, which were when the track was taken out 100 years ago when the Millers played at Mackenzie, and we put the new track up at Roberts Field. Perfectly clear, high school comes first, whether it's during the day or whether it's high school sports. And we were just talking with Maureen Parks, and she works very closely with Mel, the athletic director at the high school, to make sure all high school sports, extracurricular activities, not just the sanctioned ones, but intramural, they all come first. You know, the kids get it before anybody else. But then the way we pay off some of that bond is by leasing whenever we can to, as Councilor Drain said, you know, private entities, and hopefully to offset some of what we cost to pay for the bond itself. But always the kids go first.
So does it make a difference if the students on that team are all Holyoke High School students?
It is, because it's not a high school sporting event like varsity versus Belchertown. This is just a.
And there's competition for all of our especially our baseball diamonds. We have more 90-foot baseball diamonds than most communities know what to do with, and communities from around are looking at Anniversary Hill, looking at Mackenzie, looking at Springdale Park because they need the 90-foot diamond. The Parks Department controls that, and they're very careful about that Holyoke Sports should always go first, and when they're available, other communities can come in and use it for the night. Those are not even lease contracts. Those are just modest fees for the use for one game here and there.
Okay.
Miss, if I may, real quick for clarification, if the Allies were a league that was run out of the Parks and Recs department, then they could possibly have precedent over the Blue Sox. But because it's an individual, it's like myself creating a team and then putting a whole bunch of kids together and then organizing it. It's kind of different. It's a different ask. You're asking for the best field in the city to use when people pay good money for it. Versus if I was a high school varsity coach, I get it automatically over anybody. You get what I mean?
Councilor Tallman?
Yeah, Holyoke first, right? Always. Councilor Bradley, great point. It's a great contract, and it's the first time I think that we voted on this before the season started, which is excellent. And I think we have to show support. And I know I don't get as many games as Councilor Bradley, but I get 1 or 2 games and bring some people from another city or town, and they love it. It's a great night out. It's a family night. It's affordable. And I just want to know if Kevin Dorjane is going to be umpiring one of the games.
Oh, you never
Possibility?
know. I just did a playoff game the other night.
Okay.
It was a dandy.
All right.
Pope Francis versus Whalen.
On the motion.
On the motion.
I did look through the contract. I know the mayors have a race around the bases. I was looking to see if the councilors had to do a race around the bases. We don't have to. We're all set. All right, so we're going to receive and adopt, do a roll call because it's a contract.
Yep.
If you vote yes, you're voting for the contract.
Tallman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes. Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Maldonado Velez?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
McGivern?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Your vote, you approve the
Mr.
contract.
President, can we suspend and take 12, 13, or 14 together as a package? Says
Motion to suspend the rules,
received.
take up 12, 13, and
Second.
14. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 12 is from the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority, minutes of meetings. There are several. 13 is the Holyoke Board of Health minutes, and then the Fire Commission minutes. Motion would be to receive.
I could, real quick,
Yeah,
Mr.
Councilor,
President. I think it's important just to point out on item 12, these are executive session minutes. The reason they're being released is because whatever the items that were before this committee in executive session are now come to pass in fruition, and therefore they must be released. Anybody that has executive session, these minutes are only kept private until the item itself is, comes to a closure. The OPED, and they do this for both the Redevelopment Authority and HEDIC, are very good about releasing executive session minutes, even though they might be down the road. I think it's just important to note for, not just as elected officials, but as appointed officials, that what executive session means.
So, Councilor Jordan.
I did have one question. I don't know if it's the redevelopment authority or the law department can answer it, but when a member doesn't go, are they supposed to be listed as absent? I know on our minutes, we list who's present, who's absent. Here it seems to only mention those who are present. It doesn't mention who's absent. I'm wondering if they can check with them if those are appropriate minutes.
Do you want to table 12 to get the answer?
I mean, if it's,
Just send a communication.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
yeah,
They can
okay.
enable it.
I'll inquire.
Okay.
I'll inquire about the attendance. Yep.
12, 13, and 14 to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. President, can we suspend, take 15, 16, 17 as a package?
Second.
They're renewals, I believe.
Finance?
So 15 and 17 as a
renewals.
package. All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion be approved, assuming they paid everything.
A second it.
Second.
This is, 15 is a renewal of a secondhand license for 250 Westfield Road. That's Dollar General. 17 is the Echo ATM, which is secondhand license at 2261 Northampton. That's inside Dollar General. And 16? Okay, sorry. And 16, sorry. And 16 is a secondhand license renewal for the mall. Motion would be to receive, adopt, and grant the renewal. Let me just check taxes. Everything is current. Any discussion on these? So it's granted renewal. Secondhand license, the clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 15, 16, and 17.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
We vote you approve those three. 18.
Mr. President, can we take 18 and refer it to ordinance?
18
Second
go
it.
to ordinance. This is a special permit for marijuana facility cultivation and production, 333 Canal Street. So to ordinance, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A few things here for the president's report. First one would be to suspend the rules, take up late file I.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, and we'll have final action on it tonight, which is from Councilor Bartley, order that we suspend the rules and waive the third meeting in September due to the Big E parade. Councilor Bartley.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for reading my email so at the late hour. So we're, what the hell? The Big E parade is going to be, it's always going to be the third Tuesday in September, and we started that 11 years ago, and traditionally it's something that we've done is just suspend our rules, which I think is Rule 1, and that we meet the first and third Tuesday. There's always an opportunity to suspend our rules again if we need to meet on a Wednesday or a Monday of that third week, but it's something that's very positive, I think, for the city. I'm very proud of, very proud of getting this designation for a Salute to Holyoke instituted for the city after 95 years. Holyoke had nothing, and now we've had it 95 years of the run of Big E. Now we have it, so I'm really grateful that Big E's got us on board. I would only just say to the body that that we're looking for participants to join myself. Well, I'm not going to mention his name, but there's only one other person from the city last year. He's a deputy chief, and the fire department, and on the trolley. And I think we've got 40 spaces on board for the trolley ride. So for those who don't want to walk the mile route around the Big E, we're looking for. There's certainly one or two nonprofits that I'm going to reach out to that are just wonderful entities for the city. And I know if there's any other city officials that want to participate in that event, they can certainly reach out to me, and I'll make sure that they get a free trolley ride around the Big E for September 20th. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Councilor Murphy Ramboletti.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just, this reminded me, the state primary, if we're thinking about Tuesdays in September, do we have to, how does that work? Do we have to change that?
We just, as Councilor Bartley was saying, you'd suspend, or you'd vote just to not have the meeting that day.
Okay.
You can always vote to pick up another day if you want, or just go to the very next meeting that comes up.
Okay.
Yeah, the clerk's office uses here, so they have priority.
Got it. Thank you.
Councilor
I just wanted to ask about the trolley ride.
Sure, go ahead.
You can walk it.
I got two babies. I got a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old. Can they ride the trolley? You know what I mean?
Complain when you're at
Just through
midnight.
the chair to Councilor Vera, the answer is yes.
Awesome.
All right.
I want to send you an email. I need the trolley ride.
There's 2 parades during the course of the day. Which time?
Just through the chair to my friend Joe McGivern. Joe, they threw me a curveball last year. We got there, like I always did, 3 hours early. Well, we're not going off at 5, we're going off at 6. There's only one parade. So they only had one 6 o'clock parade, Now, normally they have a 5 o'clock parade and then the 8 o'clock Mardi Gras parade. Last year it was one combined thing. So we're on the trolley, myself and Deputy Chief, who will remain nameless, and we're throwing beads off the trolley, for crying out loud. So we had a combined thing. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I will. We would definitely be either the 5 o'clock or the 6 o'clock parade, depending on their time. Okay?
We'll get more information on that.
I'll get more information. Yes.
Anyone further? So taking final action. So the motion is to receive and adopt to suspend the rule or suspend the third meeting in September due to the Big E parade with a follow-up from Councilor Bartley on times and everything. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Also, so June 13th will be the budget meeting for us. We had 3 meetings for the budget. All departments came in. I want to thank all department heads who came in and sat through long meetings, as well as the council. The attendance was phenomenal, 10, 11 at a time. So also a thank you to the mayor, who attended every budget meeting to answer questions and tell why he did or offered up the way he did it. So thank you to him for being very helpful in that process. June 10th for prior council members, not the new ones. This would be the Christmas party in June for the past council. That's June 10th, 5:30 to 7:30 up at Wyckoff. We did attend the chief's retirement party on May 31st. Chief Presrikowski from the fire department. Thank him for his service and wish him well on his retirement. We had the flag raising yesterday for Pride Month. Councilor Anderson Burgos, Councilor Maldonado Velez, Councilor Jenny Rivera, myself. Did I miss anyone? I hate missing people. Councilor Marcia Romboletti, we're all there for it. It was a great event, and thank you for Councilor Maldonado Velez for getting that going and getting us the notice. Oh, I did attend the Mount Marie event because the mayor couldn't make it. It was the crowning of the king and queen for their prom. I took the kids to that one. That was actually a lot of fun. Finally, or almost finally, there was a basketball game between the city leaders and the future city leaders. It's under review. A lot of fouls being given out, but no, I know Councilor Jordan and several other members, Councilor Rivera,
our
Mayor, all
MVP,
all joined in and had a lot of fun in that. And I know Kevin said they won. They won. I think they all win because the kids invited us to that, and it was just a phenomenal event.
Some great kids.
It's still under review on how many fouls you had, Kevin. We're checking that one. And I do believe I have everything. If I missed anything, is there anything? I got one. Google Drive links for the public are live on the website. Members of the public can see orders and committee jackets by going to the department, then city council, then committees, and clicking each committee link. So thank you, Jeffrey, for that work. That's phenomenal. Did I miss anything? Anything from anyone else?
I was just going to mention one thing, and it regards the budget process. The mayor, it appears, is going to provide us with a supplemental budget.
Yep.
Now, is it, and I don't know if you've had this conversation, is he going to get that in before we take our votes on the 13th?
He has to.
Okay.
He has to.
Because of the fact that in the event he adds something, I want to make sure the counselors have a right to review that and an opportunity to review that before the 13th.
He has to get it to us prior to the...
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Thank you.
I did forget one thing. Picture frame update. We did get it paid. Right? So it's paid. Now it's just finally getting it put together. So that'll be relatively soon.
Nice.
And I did get my high school picture in there, not... Councilor McGivern.
On the supplemental budget can be filed any time and more than one up until we set the tax rate. So
Right, but he's going to get it to us prior to the meeting. That's the...
I got an email from the auditor, and I think a few people were copied, but it seems like there's a delay in that.
I think for the supplemental, the stuff that we discussed, he was going to get to us. I know about your text. Wasn't that something unless I'm misreading it, something different.
I'm
I'll
not
follow up. I'll follow up. I'll get you everyone an answer.
Okay. We have faith.
If I don't, no, I'm just kidding. All right, so with that, President report is over. We're on to committees. Ordinance.
Mr. President,
Yes.
can we suspend rules and take up 19A and B as a package, please?
Okay, 19A and B as a package, suspend the rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A is Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that the city solicitor research how the law departments are set up in Western Mass, how many lawyers does each law department employ, and that's been complied with. B is the Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that the handicap sign be placed at 439 Beach Street, recommended it's complied with. So, Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President. So in the case of 19A, Attorney Ball provided us with the information that was requested in the order as part of the process for reorganizing the law department, and so we found that to be complied with unanimously. And in the case of 19B, the engineer and disabilities went out and looked at that site where the handicap sign was requested, but it is a travel lane on a busy street and it cannot be located there. So unfortunately, there would have to be some other arrangement made in that particular area. And so the committee found it complied with because it had been reviewed.
Okay. All right, so A and B motion is that they've been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
A motion to take up item 19C.
19C, Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that the Hoyoke zoning ordinance be amended to no longer allow daycare services R1, R2 district by right only. The City Council special permit recommended be denied.
So thank you, Mr. President. This was actually a very interesting order in public hearing because for those of us who'd been on the city council for a while, we always understood that all daycares, regardless of where they were located, were as of right throughout the city. So we did learn through this process that home daycares, if the city chose to, could be locally controlled relative to our ordinances. However, given the public hearing and the information that came in, and that this particular home business is quite highly regulated, along with information that came to the council that rather than there being many, many home daycares, there actually has been a decline in the number of licensed home daycares in the city, and that the concerns that were raised, while they were certainly real and quality of life issues to be addressed in the neighborhoods, were not really in the arena of an ordinance that would relate directly to a home daycare, but more generally to our current local ordinances and really relating to areas of enforcement. The other thing that I think became known that I think is important for members of our community is that the home daycares are licensed by the state, and if anybody in a neighborhood has a concern, they can reach out to the state, because it may be in some cases that people aren't aware that they need a license, and then they could get into the proper path to become licensed. So I do think there was a lot of good information that came forth. I certainly learned about things I was unaware of. So I think it was a good process. And at this time, the planning board did not recommend that we would amend our ordinances, seeing that we're looking at a pretty highly regulated business, and the ordinance committee agreed and recommending it that we deny it at this time.
Councilor Maldonado Velez.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, Councilor Bacon, for that report. Everything perfectly. I think we all learned a lot around daycares. I just wanted to put into the record a number that we can all reach. I think one, it is a real concern, and it did come up in some conversations about possibly, quote unquote illegal operations of daycares. But like Councilor Bacon said, sometimes it comes down to not knowing that there's an actual process. The process, it is a lengthy process, so that's why it's good to have these daycares being certified. So there's a number we can reach out, 413-788-8401. So if anything comes up, that's the number you can reach out, and their goal is to get as many safe childcare facilities as possible, because as we all know, especially if you're a parent, I'm not, but speaking to parents, childcare is a really big issue right now. So, thank you.
Seeing no one further, motions that be denied. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. President, I think we have to do a roll call
For that,
because it's a zone change and we had a public hearing, right?
was there a public hearing for that?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
sorry about
Yes.
that. I didn't realize there was a public hearing. All right, so clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting to deny. Sounds a little confusing, but
Almond?
that's how you do it.
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes. Yes.
Bartley?
No.
Givner?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Maldonado Velez?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
McGivern?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
11 yeas, 1 nay.
Your vote, you denied it.
So, Mr. President, motion to suspend rules and take items 19D and E as a package,
Motion to
please.
suspend rules, take up D and E as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? D is committee an ordinance that a capital stabilization account be established for fiscal year '22 to be active for fiscal year '23. And then E is the sewer enterprise stabilization account. Waiting disposition, Counselor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks to the ordinance committee for meeting at 6:30 tonight so that we could make a recommendation to this body to have things in line for our new budget year without getting down to the very last minute crunch. So your flexibility is appreciated. So our law department did provide us with legal form, and what we all received a copy of is a framework for establishing the funds. Some of us will be remembering that with the Cannabis Stabilization Fund, we have a lot more detail around what the money can be spent on. And we also realize that in some cases, we're waiting to see what funds can be used for. So what I want to assure the council of is this is setting up the framework so that the mayor can transfer the money as he desires that he has put forth in finance as part of the budget process. But down the road, the council can certainly add language, creating more definition within these funds. And certainly, once these funds are established, it will require a supermajority vote of the council to spend money out of them. Okay, I don't know if there's any specific questions about the language itself, but let me just read that the purpose of the Capital Asset Stabilization Fund is to expend funds for the acquisition, development, or maintenance of capital assets. And in the case of the Sewer Enterprise Stabilization Fund, the purpose is to expend funds in support of sewer and stormwater management and maintenance. Thank you.
Just I thank the ordinance committee for doing this timely. It's the importance of this is you need to establish stabilization funds the prior year before you start using them. The finance committee has a proposal for some free cash going into next year from this year, which would allow these stabilization funds to have some seed money to start doing it. But we have to establish them before the next fiscal year.
Mm-hmm. So the motion is to pass to receive, adopt, and pass the first reading.
Second. Aye.
Aye. Motion to
opposed?
pass the second reading.
Motion is to pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
And motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for D and E.
Tolman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Maldonado Velez?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
McGivern?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Your vote, you approve those two. Thank you to Ordinance Committee for doing that. Very much appreciated. And I will point out for the record, that's been your quickest meeting. Just throwing it out there.
Don't get used to it, I'm sorry.
Did I jinx it? Sorry. All right, 20A, we're off to finance. I was asked to do abbreviated reading, so I will do that. Committee on Finance was referred in order. the DCR Urban Grant for $30,000 with a 25% in-kind match. Recommend that be adopted. So receive, adopt, pass first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had fantastic attendance. These next part of the agenda is results of 2 Finance Committee meetings, one of which I think broke the all-time record for finance. Maybe not ordinance, but finance. And with everybody's permission, the committee and anybody who was there, I'll just do kind of a condensed report, but be prepared to answer any questions. This particular one, we had Yoni Grosgrove, and before us, this is the continuation of, it's a grant that's from the Department of Conservation and Recreation. It's a continuation of doing public tree inventory, which is something that's very important, especially in cities, but very important for all communities. This particular grant of $30,000 have an in-kind match of 25%. You only assured us that would be with his labor and another person in the, he has no one else in his department, another person in the planning department, and that this will look at about an additional 7,000 trees, of which we've already, as a community, looked at about 2,300. The Finance Committee recommends that we accept the grant and allow the Conservation Director to move forward with the program itself.
Seeing no one further, this motion is passed the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20A.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Where you vote, you approve that one. 20C, from Finance, a transfer of $8,600 from Labor Refuge to overtime, building maintenance, overtime refuge. Recommend that be adopted. Receive, adopt, pass first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a number of items that were transfers within the DPW budget. I'll just say this. There's some reoccurring themes in each of them, and I will point them out as we go, but the surpluses and the line items are mostly because of vacancies in those positions. We've heard that throughout recent months from the DPW. There is one theme that's very much reoccurring, is there was some miscommunication in the budget for when there were transfers made in for a contract that was adopted last year, and that's been rectified. However, there needs to be some supplemental monies put into some items just to make up for the shortcomings at the end of the fiscal year. This particular one is that the openings were in the labor refuse position. That's why there's $8,600 available. The overtime is into building maintenance for some overtime that was necessary because of vacancies, and the overtime refuse was, there's a point where the DPW was scrambling to move people around to collect trash and to do recycling. Amy came in, she was with us for a long time during this meeting, and we recommend that the full council adopts the appropriation by transfer.
Seeing no one else, motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20C.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon, Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez, McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
11 yeas.
With your vote, you approve 20C. Councilor McGivern, and to the rest of the group, 20D, E, F, G, and H are all kind of similar to this. Does anyone have a concern about that on any of them?
I have no problem, Mr.
Wanna take them up
President.
as a package?
I just wasn't sure how the body would take that.
You want to
We
make a
can
motion to
do,
suspend, take them up as a package?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
second
okay.
it.
Unless if someone has they don't like 20D or something, let me know. If not, 20D is 5,000 from office manager to part-time clerk. 20E is from office manager, $410 to overtime WWTP clerk. F is $4,195 from HMEO to several areas. G is $1,050 from office manager to superintendent of outdoor works. H is $784 from motor equipment repairman to two other line items. Motion would be to receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
thank you, Mr. President. Again, similar themes. The office manager was actually Amy's position. She is the acting superintendent. They have not backfilled the office manager, which makes sense. However, it creates additional work in the office, and she's been using her clerical staff to make up for the when she's doing the superintendent's work, and that's the purpose of the $5,000 transfer. Same thing with the office manager, 410, going into overtime for the wastewater treatment clerks. Same thing with the, a little different, heavy motor vehicle equipment operators. There's not been enough bodies to fill those positions throughout the course of the year. It's actually becoming a serious problem with the DPW. A lot of it is, they think is because you have to have a CDL license. But the surplus is there. It's going into senior custodian, building custodian, some overtime, and pay principal clerks, dental, all work that has been generated by the moving around and lack of bodies in certain positions. Again, office manager, $1,050, superintendent of outdoor works. And the final one is pay motor equipment repairman. That was just vacant for a little bit of period of time. I believe it's now been filled, but there is a surplus, and it goes into the mechanic and the pay police fleet mechanic. Just some extra work that they had done to keep the vehicles going. Committee recommends all the transfers by appropriation be adopted.
So motion is to pass the first reading on D, E, F, G, and H. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading on those items.
Yep, motion is passed the second reading on all those. Clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for all of those.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve those. Next is, get rid of those. 20I. Committee on Finance was a transfer of $17,500 from Park and Control Officer to Snow Removal Services. Recommend that be adopted. Motion to receive, adopt, pass first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, a vacancy, parking control officer. There were two positions budgeted. One that would have been filled. It was became vacant at one point. I believe they're both filled now, but there is still a surplus within the line item. Snow removal services, you're going to see a number of these coming up. One of the few areas that we can deficit spend, meaning we can spend money in an emergency that we don't have, and sometimes we vote to carry that over to the next year, but we try not to, is the snow removal services. Amy, the auditor, the mayor got together and they want to pay these bills this year, or they're paid, but they want to fund these bills this year, which is what these transfers are about. Committee recommends that the appropriation by transfer be adopted.
See no one. So motion is passed the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20I.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that one. 20J, Committee on Finance, a transfer of $70,000 from veteran benefits to special counsel. Receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've had Jesus in a number of times, not this particular meeting, to explain the surplus in veterans' benefits. The prior year budgets, which he went by, had some impacts by COVID, influx of number of veterans that were applying for the benefit within the city, and some that were actually coming in homeless that were veterans that also were eligible for this. Just a reminder that any money that comes out of this account to a veteran is 80% reimbursed by the state, but we have to put the money up front first before we're reimbursed. The committee recommends the transfer by appropriation be adopted.
No one. Motion is passed first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20J.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Your vote, you approve that one. We're back to transfers from certain line items. That'd be 20K, 20L, MNOP.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules, take them up as a package.
All right,
I'll second
so
that.
taking those up, that'd be, just make sure I got it right. K, L, M, N, O, and P. Take them up as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? K is 31,000 from HMEO Parks, Park Maintenance, to Repair Maintenance, Police Station. L is $12,001 from Pay HMEO to Overtime, Forestry Overtime. M is $12,338 from Safety Inspector, Labor to Waste Recycling Coordinator. N is $21,720 from Power Shovel Operator to various items for snow removal overtime. And O is $20,000 from Sanitarian 1 to software. And P is $22,500 from vacation buyback to, or several actually, to snow removal services. Motion be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, some reoccurring themes, the surpluses for the vacancies within the positions known as heavy motor equipment operators and park maintenance man. Repair in the police station was an emergency repair to the HVAC system. Amy came in, attached is a invoice for, a lot of it was parts and including software and stuff that had to be replaced in the system, which totaled close to $30,000. The second one, the $12,001 is overtime, going into overtime for Forester and pay overtime for all for the forestry department. I think we know the list in the forestry department is still outstanding with one or two people that actually do the work. The $12,338 pay and safety inspector and pay laborer. There was an administrative leave in the pay safety inspector. That's what created a surplus for a period of time. It was, I guess, an unpaid leave. Recycling coordinator was going back to what we had talked about the budget snafu and a reassignment that took place in that position. Shovel operator, this is the $21,720 going into foreman overtime. And snow removal overtime, again, so we don't go into the possibility of deficit spending from one year to the next. The sanitarian one to permitting software, we had a little bit of a discussion on this because this seems to be coming up more and more, but this was professional services for I think it's part of the payroll system, but it was software that permitting for software that needed to be paid for. And I know we're trying to get more answers. The mayor's done some research on this, but it seems to be a reoccurring theme. The final one, the $22,500, There was a surplus for buybacks that were not necessary after some changes happened, and that goes into snow removal services. Most of the snow removal services are contractors that were paid, but the budgeting has to catch up to it. The committee recommends that these appropriations by transfer be adopted.
Counselor Bartley.
Yeah, I do support these. I would just add that, because I know the mayor watches our meetings, I'd rather us, if we're gonna, just in regard to snow removal, Mr. President, that I'd rather us take it from our stabilization account, because we can do that, and I'd be happy to support that, and that these funds should go back into free cash. I mean, I know we're okay with free cash this year, which is great, but the last multiple years hasn't been so great. And we're looking at about $50,000 as far as quick math right there. So I think that a $50,000 stabilization transfer, to me, would be money well used, and I'd rather take the money, this money, and put it back into free cash for a subsequent year. Thank you.
That's why I left 20Q, because that's 231,000.
Well, I know.
The other one was,
Well,
so, I mean, just pointing that out. But, so, KLMNOP, motion would be to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for KLMNO and P.
Bowman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes?
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve those. 20Q is 231,000 from several line items to snow removal services. Recommend that be adopted. Motion be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
On the surface, it's the same reoccurring thing, vacancies within the department, and that's senior civil engineer, general superintendent, office manager, heavy motor vehicle equipment operator, labor refuse, heavy motor vehicle equipment operator, highway, power shovel operator, property maintenance, demo, labor, highway, motor vehicle repair person, all surpluses, because either vacant or at one point during the course of the year vacant, into snow removal services for the purpose of avoiding the snow removal deficit in that account line item itself. The committee did recommend, I just heard what Councilor Bartley said, the committee did recommend that we pass the appropriation by transfer this evening.
Anyone further? Seeing none, motion, Councilor Jordan?
Just briefly, again, have the utmost respect for Councilor Bartley. I would say, though, this is technically, in my opinion, the more fiscally conservative approach. Why? Because it takes 2/3 of a vote to remove something from stabilization, whereas if this was to be unspent and we were to take this money, this 231 from stabilization, it puts in circulation another $231,000, such that this 231 would then get certified as free cash, and those are considered, according to the DOR opinion, as unappropriated dollars and only require a majority vote. And so actually the technically more fiscally conservative approach is this, that we're using and transferring within its department these 231.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I would only argue, only because of our free cash situation the last several fiscal years has been negative, frankly. I think that taking a small fraction of a stabilization count for this one limited purpose, which is snow removal, which we all know the DOR has no issues with whatsoever, because they said it repeatedly, and this is but a fraction of a stabilization count that I think is somewhere around $18 million, although I'm probably being conservative on that. And this is just, it's actually a fraction of the interest payment on the principal. I would just ask the mayor to, well, I mean, I'm going to vote for it now, but because we have to, but I'm just going to say, down the road, it's just another option for the mayor to consider. And by the way, it's a lot harder taking money out of a stabilization because you need 2/3 vote to do that. So that's got to be that's a pretty high hurdle to get that out. And that's the only time I have in my career voted for stabilization. I think most of us here can say the same, that have voted for that stuff. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Both speakers are right on target. Down the road, I would tend to agree that at some point that stabilization could be used. I like that thought because it's allowed and because it would free up some extra money in the budget. The fear I have right now is the reason we've had negative free cash for the last 3 to 4 years is we've been offsetting, not reconciling, but offsetting deficits in grants, some of those grants that are 10 years old. And we all know that story, not to go into it this evening. And I just, if we don't use this money this year, this could become free cash next year that we may not even have access to if deficit spending becomes part of it. But down the road, I think it'd be great if the mayor were to look at stabilization for some of these emergencies.
All right, so a motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20Q.
Holman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Your vote, you approve that one. 20R, Community and Finance, $2,575 from Labor Building Maintenance to Building Custodian. Recommend it be adopted. Receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. The same thing, the shortage in the budget, and this one again is the miscommunication on the contract and the budget, whether the money was in the budget when we adopted the DPW contract. I believe it was late last year, this fiscal year, but late last calendar year. Committee recommends that we approve the transfer to make up for the contractual item.
So motion is passed the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Holman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that one. 20S, Community and Finance referred a request to transfer appropriate transfer in fiscal year 2023 from fiscal year 2022 free cash in a sum of $170,000 to professional services outside counsel. Recommend that be adopted. Motion be receive, adopt, pass first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. These are a little bit different than what we've been doing, and something very different than what is normal protocol within the end of the year and fiscal allowed transfers. First, I'll just note our free cash. This is the latest I've ever seen free cash certified by the state. And that causes some problems because usually we have free cash sometime in October, November, the latest, and the mayor and the department heads look at what they need, capital outlay, things like that. One-time expenditures is ideal, sometimes to supplement the budget, which DOR doesn't like, but it can be done. This, as the president read, is the mayor requesting us to take this year's free cash and to transfer it into fiscal 2023 for a number of different items coming up. This is allowed according to the auditor, according to the mayor. I actually read an article that Chicopee did something similar the article was in the Republican a week ago Sunday. And this particular one is $130,000 into the mayor's contracted services. The mayor was with us. A number of services that he's looking to use this for would be the police audit.
No, this is the 170.
We're on lead.
170
I'm
for
sorry, which one we on?
outside
20S.
counsel.
Outside
Outside
counsel.
counsel.
What number?
S.
S.
20 yes.
No, a dollar figure, please.
Oh,
170.
170.
170.
Sorry. This one, the 170, same thing about the free cash this year to next year, but this one, 170 goes into the professional services outside council. What the mayor's trying to do is to put money into this line item to help balance next year's budget, essentially. By using this money, which, again, according to the mayor, the auditor, and what we know is allowed, he is supplementing the next year's budget for items that we know occur in the solicitor's budget. There's a contract for the labor services that is a monthly contract, which is a 12-month, but monthly contract, it's paid out. There are numbers of outside counsels on specialty cases that we are routinely briefed in executive session by the solicitor for any of the matters that are still pending in the courts, and the 170 would be used for the outside counsel in the solicitor's budget. At this point, the committee recommended 3 to 1 to 1 absent to adopt the use of the free cash money this way.
Anyone further? Motion would be to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion to pass the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Your vote, you approve that one. 20T is what Councilor McGill was talking about earlier. This is the 130. From fiscal year 2022 free cash to fiscal year 23 for mayor's contracted services. Motion to receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did sign this jacket. However, I did not vote in favor of this transfer, but I'll make a quick report and welcome anybody in the majority to make a report before I say the reason I'm going to vote against this. The mayor is proposing the use again of free cash into a line item known as contracted services in the mayor's budget itself, mayor's department budget. The contracts he's looking to do is the police audit, the parking maintenance, parking management study, trash management, recycling study, and to use it for other projects as needed. This is a legitimate line item. The code number is correct, and the use would be the mayor's prerogative to use. The committee recommended that this transfer be allowed. I'll stop there. If there's anyone else that wants to add to that, and then I'll explain why I'm voting against it.
Anyone further? Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, these were all important services that we supported the mayor on. Number one, we're strongly in support of doing the audit of the police department. This is something that they have supported, the police chief has supported, to have a opportunity to ensure that one of our largest departments is properly audited. The parking management study, obviously we're well versed in the whole issues with the garages and the meters and all of that. These need resources and consultative services to do that. Likewise for the trash management and recycling study. So we supported the mayor in requesting these funds. We feel it makes the city services stronger and more accountable.
Anyone for Councilor Rivera?
I just have questions around the police audit piece, right? And the type of audit that it will be. Maybe it's a question for the mayor, but he's not present, or for the police chief in general, because there's a variety of type of audits. So for me, it's if an internal audit about effective and efficiency of how the system is and saving money and costs, that's an awesome audit. But at the same time, also looking at any violations, any times we got sued because of certain situations or things like that, just so that we can have an overall overview of how much of an impact it's caused us over the last however back they go within the audit. Just because it'd be good for us to know overall, and for the people in the public to know too as well.
Councilor Bacon.
I would just note that the mayor came in and he read from the RFP proposals the criteria for the audit. So it's public information. I think it's either up in the website or in the procurement office. So all the criteria are available.
Councilor Rivera.
I guess for right now, for voting matters, that doesn't answer my question. Unless I go on there, I don't think I have time. I don't think I have time to look at it right now. So that would make me not vote for it, more or less.
Well,
Just saying.
it had a variety of arenas, and it went into different aspects of the audit.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, in terms of Councilor Rivera, I would say to your latter question, which is, how many times have we been sued? How many times have been those allegations? I think you're probably an info request to the law department. They would help you with that. Like, say, you give them a time period, how many lawsuits over such and such a time period, and what does that cost us in terms of settlements and outside counsel fees and things of that nature. That's not really what they're looking at here. I think it's more of the former portion of what you said, is more about efficiency, fiscal review, best practices, that type of stuff. Where review of grants, making sure things are properly reconciled, a number of things in that arena. Not so much looking at, did so-and-so get accused of police brutality and what did that charge, or did something happen in the lockup or something, those type of allegations. That would be, I think, better steered to the law department, and they can tell you, because we certainly see those kind of cases and what is paid or not paid and what it costs to defend those cases, if that's helpful to you.
Councilor McGivern's next, then Councilor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Rivera's question was brought up in committee, and I think it's been properly explained here this evening. The RFP is out there. I did get a copy of it, and that's part of the reason that I agree with what Councilor Durant is saying, but part of the reason I'm not voting for this particular transfer is the police audit itself, because there's in the scope of services, there is a little sentence that goes beyond a fiscal review, a department management review, a department organization review. And that, to me, opens up the door for not knowing who the consultant is going to be, because the RFP is out there and the mayor, and only the mayor, gets to choose the consultant himself. The Police Reform Act, I think, is incredibly difficult for a police chief and police management to adhere to. Very important, and I think Chief Pratt is adhering to and abiding by the Police Reform Act itself. And I think any audit is designed to be critical. And I think we have to be careful about being critical until we look as to how management, how police work has changed according to the Police Reform Act itself. So I think it's a little premature to spend this amount of money on a police audit that doesn't have controls and the safeguards. If it was exactly what Councilor Jordan was saying it was going to be, I'd have no problem. And the chief has stated that publicly. It has the opportunity, because of this one sentence or little paragraph, to go a little bit further. And quite frankly, I don't think that's necessary or fair to the men and women of the police department.
Councilor Maldonado Velez.
Councilor Reagan.
You be for the first time, then we're going to go back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've been going back and forth, yes or no, for this, because I am in support of some sort of audit. I'm part of the Parking Advisory Committee, and I know we need a study. I know all these studies are necessary. I think for me, where I'm stuck in is we've gone through this whole RFP process. We put it out. We're getting all these contracts or applications coming in. But there was a question that Councilor Tallman made during the meeting, which was, if we weren't to approve this, is there another line item that would fund these studies? And I don't remember getting a straight answer. So it seems like, I guess my message to the mayor, and I'll have the conversation with him, like, we wouldn't, there's a committee that's being led on that, yeah, we're going to have this RFP, but there's no actual finance in place yet. So I feel like this is a little leaning on without actually having confirmation. With that said, this is a 2023 contract services, so I'm down to vote yes. And the last point I wanted to make, being part of the Parking Advisory Committee as well, one thing that we keep saying is it's not enough to just have this one study and that's it. Like, a lot of departments need consistent studies. Every year there has to be some sort of study, and I don't think this covers that. So I just wanted to make those points.
Councilor Givner, then Councilor Bacon, then Councilor Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to recap our memories that Chief Pratt and Mayor Garcia actually presented their ideas and reasoning around wanting this police audit on February 16th in public safety. So we spent quite a lot of time asking Chief Pratt questions. Mayor Garcia was also present and had his reasoning for requesting the audit. At the time, I mean, my notes aren't as good as they might have been if I were just transcribing full time, but I do recall from these notes that Chief Pratt is in support of this, so I think that's a pretty good reason to want to move forward. I think another good reason is to Councilor Maldonado's point that we have been putting out these requests, for bids or for contracts to work on this for different auditing agencies or companies. So we're going to have a plethora to choose from, I hope. And I imagine when one is chosen, or if there are a few brought to the table, we'll get a chance to look at those and make another decision. But I don't think it's wise to look for contracts and not have the funding available to pay for them. Thank you.
Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President. So in the period of the questioning, we all know from time to time people hire consultants to give messages they don't want to give themselves. So for me, the intent of these audits was as important as whether they happen or not, because sometimes there's a preordained outcome that somebody's looking for. So in this case, I talked with the chief and the mayor in terms of these whole activities, and the assurance that I received is that the goal of it is to be looking for best practices, to go forward, and if there are arenas that are needing strengthening or areas that are needing a change in focus or intensity of focus, that out of this audit that would come. Because I did share Councilor McGivern's concern relative to some of the internal operations that were specifically being sought in the RFP. And to the extent that those operational activities are being looked at to assure that A, they are happening, B, that they're happening correctly, and C, that the matters that are raised are being resolved properly, that to me would be a fair thing to look at in terms of making sure that we have systems and processes in place. So based on that assurance that that is the intent and purpose of the audit, I will be voting in support of this transfer. I do think our mayor is trying to, in some cases, as he uses, to right the ship, but in other cases, I think he's trying to really take fresh eyes, look at things. And I also think we have the new police chief who is perhaps in the same situation. And so for those reasons, I will support this. Thank you.
Councilor Jordan.
Yes, Mr. President. Couple of points. First is that if we don't approve these, then the only way that we could get this done is to add it to the FY23 budget. And where is going to be the source? Unless it comes through a supplemental budget, it would have to be, once again, from this exact same pot of money. This year's free cash and appropriate it now. So it's pay me now or pay me later, and it's coming from the same pot. So from a fiscal perspective, it is what it is. Second point, obvious answer. We asked for this. We asked them to do this. We asked them to do these audits. The council passed this. We made these requests. Guess what? They said yes. So now that they've said yes, you should say yes. And you should fund what you asked for. And as far as the results go, the beauty of audits are you're still the legislators of this community. They can't do anything wild and crazy without your blessing, okay? This auditor is going to come back, or this team or whoever that's going to say whatever they feel, maybe this is a material weakness, or you could do a best practice over here, or this is a deficiency. We all get to give it whatever commensurate weight we think. And then at that point, we can say, yep, that makes a lot of sense. We're going to do that. Maybe gap analysis says why, but, in Holyoke, we prefer it this way. Or they may say, you don't need a fourth captain, fifth captain, you only need 3, but you need an extra lieutenant. I mean, who knows what they could say? There's a whole plenary of things they could say. We'll take all of that and can give it whatever weight we feel. They're going to make their suggestions. We should listen. The thing that I like about it is it's independent. It's going in there and giving us a comparison to say, hey, in these departments, they're doing this. There's other ways of doing things. You could be doing this better, X, Y, Z, and you can choose to do those things or not. So, and with respect to these other studies, I think a lot of these things relative to trash and parking are also important. I know sort of the bigger bell out of the 3 here is the police audit, but these other things are also very important to the city's fiscal health and good operations. Thank you.
Councilor McGivern.
Last time, Mr. President, and I'm not really trying to debate anything that's been said this evening, but rather to hang my hat on what my vote is about on this one particular item itself. All of these studies are worthy. The police audit, as depicted by speakers this evening, is worthy. Strategic planning, operational management, structural management, all that, financial, fiscal, all important. Look at the RFP under scope of services, item number F, professional standards and accountability. The auditor is going to be tasked with examining impediments to true accountability within the police department, audit and review received internal complaints received as a result of departmental interviews where individuals participating in such interviews alleged violations concerning the performance, demeanor, ethical conduct, or potential illegal behavior of police personnel. Complete internal investigations concerning violations of department policy and criminal law that have reported by the police personnel and investigate risk management issues regarding other department policies, police policies and functions. The mayor has said, he's going to do the right thing. Public Safety Committee, as Councilor Givner said, the chief said he's not afraid of this. He's not afraid of this audit. I understand that. I understand the chief is strong. I understand he believes in the men and women of the Holyoke Police Department. I'm afraid of the auditor making headlines out of this. And we don't need, in this city, more headlines for something that is not there. And that's what scares me when you write something like this into an RFP, and that's why I'm voting no.
Anyone further? So motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. The clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
No.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
11 yeas, 1 nay.
Ready to vote, you approve that one? 20U, Community Finance, who was free cash of 68,000. So from fiscal year 2022 free cash to professional engineer services. Recommend it be adopted. So motion be receive, adopt, pass first reading. Councilman McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, the free cash transfer, as we talked about, this would go into professional engineering services. I think we all know, we've been lucky over the years to have some wonderful engineers work for the city of Holyoke. I think one of the finest engineers is about to leave city services. This would pay for some consulting, including Mr. Parent, helping the transition phase through with the new engineer and the backfilling. I think there's been a promotion, but there's going to be a promotion in the backfilling of the position of the second engineer. This would be a great transfer and a great use of free cash to allow this type of service to go on during that transition period. Committee recommends the adoption of the transfer.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, Mr. President, thanks. I'll be very brief. I do support this fully, but at this time, I've been completely negligent for a while. I just want, just through the chair, I just want to thank Joe and Pete and several of the counselors from yourself from last year. The work that the engineer did, it's just been really well received at the top of West Glen. Joe, Pete, yourself, Jimmy, several counselors from Linda from last year were just tremendous. What happened at the top of West Glen's just been it's like a waterfall. So it's been not completely mitigated, but it's been changed quite a bit. And so that was led by Mr. Zach and then Mr. Parent as well. And they were on site 7 in the morning, multiple days, just figuring out the deal with that particular part of town. So I've been remiss in all this time to try to thank the committee, and I want to do it now. And then I also want to just indicate my support for this order. Thank you.
So motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20U.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
He's out of the room.
He's in the
McGee. McGee,
Oh, yes, sorry.
McGivern,
I answered
Yes.
the question. I didn't hear it.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
11 years.
Vote you approve that
Mr.
one?
President?
Yep.
Because he's not here, I keep forgetting Mr. Anderson Burgos, but he was definitely helpful last year too. So he's not in the room, so I don't remember that he's on Zoom. But thank you, Juan, for your support from last year.
Mr. President, could we do 20V and 20W as a package?
Second that.
Take up 20V and W as a
rules.
package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? V is 10,000 from free cash to hardware city council. W is 25,500 from free cash to computer professional services. Motion is to receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just thought IT, they're both IT type proposals. The 25,500 is a one-time onboarding and overtime for the backup of, the server backup. The $10,000, if everybody doesn't know it, the city council is going to be brought into the 2023 year with some new equipment for our use.
We get some classes on that or what? Yeah, okay.
Laptops.
You teach me? Okay.
All right. So motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for V and W.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Maldonado Velez?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
McGivern?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
We vote to approve those two. 20X, a request of $240,000 from free cash to mayor's contracted services. Motion to receive, adopt, pass first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Same thing, free cash 2022 for into 2023. Same line item as the line item that we just adopted with the proposal of the audits. This particular one, though, earmarks consulting services for ongoing municipal finance support to improve internal controls is what the mayor is proposing here within the finance departments themselves. This would include everything from the offices of the treasurer, auditor, assessors, tax collector, and of course, the chief financial officer himself, the mayor. The committee recognizes the need to do this. We didn't get into a lot of detail of the $240,000 because that's a estimated figure because there's no RFP that's out there just yet. But Mayor, the way he explained it, will be this will be a little bit more as you go with the consulting services to come in and do work. I know he's brought some people in to do a couple things already. And that's the mayor's proposal, and the transfer would be into that same line item.
Councilor Aiken.
So I'll just make a comment on this one, particularly for the new people in the room. We've been to this rodeo before and spent thousands of dollars to get reconciliation cleaned up in the treasurer's office with the assurance that in the next year, all policies and protocols would be in place so we wouldn't be back here again. Fast forward, whatever it is, 7, 8, 9 years, here we are again. In fairness to our new mayor, he's the new guy in town, so I'm going to hold my nose and vote for it, but he understands the history now and did go back and was able to verify what I shared with him, and he is assuring us that under his watch, he's going to make sure these things get tightened up and we're going to actually have fiscal controls in the city. So I'm taking him at his word, and I hope he can accomplish what has not been accomplished in the last 10 years. Thank you.
Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, I'm really happy that the mayor brought this forward, and I think for several years we've had issues in departments. We've had people come in and people leaving. We had people that are here for a couple months, a couple years, and really key departments in our city. The auditor, the tax collector, the treasurer. So there's been a big transition, and now we have people in these positions that really need, some assistance, need some help, and I think the mayor's seeing that, and whatever we can do to support him. I believe that he's doing the right thing here, trying to get some help in these departments. The fiscal health of our city really depends on these three areas, and all the individuals in these departments now are really working hard with the city. And hopefully with their salaries now somewhat adjusted, that they'll be staying with the city for a number of years and we don't have a big turnover. But the mayor has seen that. The mayor has put in the contracted services. He's had some outside help with some consultants. There's an individual with, I think, DOR that was working with us, and some other agencies that sort of can look out 3 to 5 years in our fiscal planning to try to help the city navigate the issues coming down the road. So I think this is a great thing. I'm really happy that the mayor forwarded this to us, and hopefully we can give him all the support we can to help these offices that really have been struggling in the last couple of years.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for this because, again, I want to support Mayor Garcia's agenda. The gentleman is working really hard and trying to do the right thing, so he deserves to have an opportunity to do it his way. One, I would hope that they're going to include the tax collector's office too. I think that's part of this, or if it's not, it should be. There's a past IG's report relative to the tax collector's office. The only thing, though, I do have to begrudgingly say, it's another sad commentary, though, that the taxpayers have to give up $240,000, that after all the years, how many years old are we as a city? That we have to study how to run our treasurer's department. That we have to study how to run the auditor's office. We have to study how to be assessors and have our practices. We've been doing this. This isn't our first rodeo, right? We've been doing this for a while. And yet, we have to go back to the chalkboard and figure it out and analyze, because apparently a number of really smart people feel we're not doing it the right way. So hopefully this is the time we get it right. And we can point back to this moment and say that, you know, we did the effort to do it the right way. But I would encourage people to look back at our outside audit reports. I would encourage, I mean, we had full-blown exposés on the treasurer's office from the IG's office. We had one on the tax collector's office. You know, you don't have to go too far to find up a number of what were clear material weaknesses. Now, the good news is most of the most obvious ones were cleaned up, but I'll be interested to see what they come up with, and I look forward to the mayor's work in this area and whatever we can do to be supportive to him and these department heads.
Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti.
Thank you. Just for what it's worth, I'm really excited about this for a lot of reasons. I am obviously a new counselor. I haven't been around for a while, but the DOR has been telling us very specific suggestions on steps that we should take as a municipality. And for whatever reason, I haven't been here, but we haven't been able to implement those. And this is one of the reasons why I ran. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing what comes of this and bringing some of those recommendations that DOR has repeatedly told us to do, bring those forward. So just want to thank folks that are leading the discussion.
Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with just about everything that's been said this evening. I too like the approach Mayor Garcia has. Not only is he able to share vision and to talk about vision and change, he listens, which I think is something that we don't always hear out of room one. He listens to us, he listens to his constituents, he listens to other elected officials and appointed officials, and I think to me that's the way you change government for the better. Again, a little bit leery of the amount of money that's being transferred here, but if you look historically, back in the early 90s, the city was actually under a finance control board, which most people forget we even had. It came out of one mayor in the 70s, and not completely his fault, but the advent of Proposition 2.5 created a deficit that we never overcame. Marty Dunn became mayor, and he tried everything he could to overcome that deficit, and the control board came in. To this, for decades later, the Department of Revenue said the city of Holyoke was the only community that worked hand in hand with the control board to change things. Thus, eventually, stabilization fund, a budget that we worked very hard, I think, as a city council, and mayors have worked very hard to keep in control. I know sometimes it doesn't always come out perfect, but we do work hard at it. So I think, you know, it is time for change. The only caution I have is we have a unique charter, a very unique charter in the Commonwealth, in that we appoint the auditor, we appoint the assessors. You know, we have not just the appropriation final control over what the mayor appropriates, we have a very big say in people in the finance departments. And I don't want to see that just get thrown out the window for the wrong reasons. But we need to change things, and now's as good a time as ever to take a good look at it with the experts.
Anyone further? So motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. The clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20X.
Coleman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Kivner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
unanimous vote.
Your vote, you approve that one. 20Y, Community and Finance, request of, for fiscal year 2023 from fiscal year 2022, the sewer enterprise free cash of $300,000 to professional and technical services. Recommended be adopted, so receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Not only do we have free cash this year in the municipal side of the budget, we have free cash in the sewer fund, which is also something we've not seen in many years. The purpose of this transfer is, again, this year's free cash into a stabilization fund next year, which the ordinance committee created this evening. And the sole purpose of this one is to hire some consulting services to analyze the sewer contract. The committee recommend that the transfer be adopted.
Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. I think this is a really important order to support. We've had so much turnover, and we're having more turnover in the DPW department. Bob Parent has been an unbelievably productive individual in that department, but with his departure, it's fair to say we will have nobody in that department that understands this very complex contract, and it will be money well spent to look at it, to take a step back and determine how we should move forward relative to how we manage this very important infrastructure in our city. Thank you.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, obviously 20Y is huge, in my opinion. I'm very, very supportive of this. I happened to also recently meet with DPW Commissioner Monahan. This is really, really important. As you know, we have a contract coming up relative to the wastewater treatment services and determining the future of that, whether we should go back to public option, whether we should stay with the current vendor under current terms or better terms, or should we pick a different vendor that's out there? There are others, American Water, others come to mind, and we should have a very thorough process to make sure that this is in the best interest of the city. Now, one thing that I was also recently reminded was that half of the cost of reviewing the contract annually is required to be paid for by the current vendor. So we have an opportunity, I recently learned, to have potentially up to half of this money recouped by the current operator. So that was wonderful news. And interestingly enough, we've had the opportunity to do that for years, and we never took them up on it. So it's been something that I've been saying for years, again, to parrot a comment made by one of the other counselors. This is one of the reasons I ran, was about this issue, was us being prepared and not, in my opinion, again, I feel, as you look back from 20 years ago, did we get the deal, the best deal on the table? No. That was a loaded deal, not in the city's best interest then, and we didn't have independent evaluation services. It seemed like all we really had was people pushing private payer partnership and privatization for the purposes of saying we did privatization. This, and I think we're all on the same page now, to have an independent analysis that is going to challenge everybody on all sides to make sure that this deal is in the best interest of ratepayers. So I'm really excited about us analyzing the current deal and looking forward to the renewal. And it's just a couple of years away, and I'm glad we're doing this prep work. I'm really pleased with the mayor that he was all over this, and I'm really excited. And the DPW Commission is also very much engaged. So I think we're going to find willing partners here, and I look forward to the work ahead, and I'm sure we'll be as supportive as possible to coming to the best outcome.
Councilor McGarren?
Sorry, Mr. President, and I'll apologize to Councilor Drain up front because we do this way too often, and maybe not this evening's a good time, but I concur. It's an incredibly complex contract, and to take a look at it, because it's a long-term contract, is important. And to take an independent look, I think, is always important with the correct consultant doing it. Just two things. One is I think we've had a lot of benefit from the contract too. Mm-hmm. I think we've been saved some money. I think the CSO project on Berkshire Street was incredible, and it was a something that we were facing as a city under the mandate of the Clean Water Air Act that most communities on the Connecticut River faced. And we just needed, to do it, and to do it quickly and to do it correctly. And I think there was some benefits from that. I think that they've also shown us in the contract, they've saved us where some issues have taken place up at Smith's Ferry where they stepped in and where they bring in, their power of being able to bring in the experts from outside within their company, but from outside the city. That's important too. But the one thing, Councilor Jordan, I always will take a different stand on is it's not privatization. The city owns the wastewater treatment plant. We did not sell it. We control the management company by contract, and I just think there's a little difference there that is important to say.
Councilor Jordan.
Right. With all due respect, if you have a jail and all the employees in the jail were public employees, and now you bring in a private vendor to come and privatize and have a private company come and operate, most people call that privatization. Some of us are against that, for particularly natural resources of the city. With all due respect, these were public employees. They are no longer public employees. One of the things that I'm intrigued to see is the deal we thought we were getting what we actually got? We're about to find out here. The other thing that I will also say that everybody should be concerned about, whether you're for this or against this, it's a big black box. We get a bill every year for 7 point blah blah million. Nobody in this room, nobody down at the DPW, as far as I'm aware of, knows how that bill is calculated. Nobody sits across a table with them and says, show me how you got to that number. They're a company looking to make a profit. They hand it to you. That's it. You get a bill in the mail. If you're not ready to say on the other side of the table, well, hold on a minute, this isn't right, or this isn't right, or this isn't right. And that's where we've been for the last 17 years. And that's the concern to me, is we can't let that happen when we have the last consultant going around saying, yeah, I'm the quarterback of privatization. He called it privatization. The guy we hired called it privatization. Councilor Tallman remembers that. That was universally said. So when your consultant says we're privatizing, you might want to believe them, okay? So the other point is we need to know down to the dollar how the sausage is made. And I look forward to that. And all I'm saying is whatever happens, and reality at this point is it's probably more likely than not it will stay with a private vendor than go back to public option, because that genie might be out of the bottle already at this point. But the question is, I want to make sure that whether we stay with the current vendor or we pick another vendor, or they say it's possible to do go back to public option, that it's the best deal for the people. That's all I'm looking for. And we can all walk away from this deal, sign it, and feel comfortable with it. So that's it. Thank you.
Councilor Bacon?
I just want to make 2 quick points. So neither being philosophically particularly for or against the construction or the framework of the management company. Two things. At the time we went into the contract, the city had no money, and the plant was in dire need of big capital investment. And shortly after the company took over, there were major capital expenses that the city would have had no way of paying for. So, from my perspective, they earned their keep early out the gate. As the contract has evolved, we had a very extremely hands-off mayor, along with a hands-off DPW superintendent. And so I don't think from the city side there was any accountability relative to the contract. So I'm a big fan of doing this analysis. I do think we should be looking out for the ratepayers' money. And granted, we are spending some of their money, but right now we're in a don't know situation relative to, can we say to them, we've been getting you the value for your money? Because I have noticed recently under the contract, they have little to no interest in putting any more capital into the city. And I think that's an important thing to talk about looking at a contract renewal, because that was one of the biggest benefits that I saw. Thank you.
Counselor Anderson Burgos.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was actually going to ask a question, and Counselor Bacon answered it, which was, why did we go from public to private? And 17 years ago, we didn't have the capital. We couldn't afford it. And so that's why, and then this company came and made these investments. I'm kind of in agreement with Counselor Jordan and with Counselor Bacon. But at the same time, I'm looking at this company who saved the city 17 years ago. And where I'm stuck at is, hey, buy this house. I'm just giving you sort of how I see it. It's as if I sell the house and you improve this house and now I want it back. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm trying to go with, like now we're just gonna kick you out even though you saved us. But at the same time and in the same breath, what we need to look at, well, fine, you saved us 17 years ago when you came and you made these capital investments. But now here we are, and we do need to look at how, if we are paying this company X amount of dollars, how is this community benefiting from the services they provide? And if we're going to continue paying these services, then they need to keep up with the capital investments to continue that profit. Those were just the remarks that I wanted to make for the record. Thank you.
Counselor Tallman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And I guess as one of the few people in this room that was here when that contract came out, and I remember that, Kevin. That's every time we talk about this, I think about the quarterback. That's just I remember, I can see him here, this short guy, and he, pushing that contract. And I'll have to tell you, I had some reservations at first about doing this. I know Counselor Bacon's been talking about this and for years about looking at the contract, and I said, what the cost is going to be to look at this? Talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. But when you look at, are we getting the best bang for our dollar? They're a private company. They're going to make money. They're out to make money. Did they help us along the way? I think with the improvements they have, I think with getting materials, equipment they can get that a city would be harder to get as a private company. So you can get, you have to go through the red tape that the city would have to go through. So there are some benefits. I took a tour years ago. I think the new counselor should try to, I think they mentioned that they would be willing to give us a tour for the new counselors of the work they've been doing down there, and it's an awesome facility. So I'm definitely in favor of this. I'm glad the mayor brought this forward. I was glad to hear Councilor Jordan said that there may be a cost that they could put up, to pay for this. I think is important, and I'm glad you found that. So it makes it a little bit more palatable, but it definitely is important for us to look at this contract. It was a long term. I don't know if it was actually 20 or 25 years, but there might have been a 20-year with 5-year, extension. And I think they've been working with us. A few years ago, they came in and gave us some kind of rundown where you'd get a break on the sludge or a break on the cost or whatever it was. It's been a few years, but maybe it's a time for, while we're doing this, to have them come again and come in to one of the committees to show us this is what we're doing, this is how we're saving money, this is why we got this this cost to pay for the facility. So I'm really much in favor of this, and I think it'll be good to look at the contract.
Going further, so the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. The clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Holman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
When you vote, you approve that one. Off to 20Z. 45,000 from cannabis stabilization to cannabis planner 2.
Mr. President, just a point of order. I think we should take up the next order first, so you have some money to transfer.
Oh, all right, we're now into the.
I want you to read this item number
We're
first.
on to the symbols.
I don't know what it is.
Can we go to like double A instead
20-something
of
symbol.
like parentheses?
Well, this is 20 left bracket.
Yeah, left bracket.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's right.
Everybody knows
We're
what
going to
that
get
is.
to the right bracket. Don't worry. We got
20 backsplash.
All right, so 20 bracket, period. Committee on Finance to free cash in the sum of $1,591,291 to
20
fund
20 happy face.
the cannabis impact stabilization. So recommend that be adopted. This motion be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Councilor Bacon. We actually do have money in the Cannabis Stabilization Fund, which was created last year, June and fiscal 20, which is required to do, and money has been coming in this year. The $1,591,291 is the money that came into the city from cannabis impact from the various manufacturers that was errantly put into the general fund.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And DOR has told us that we must correct that. The mayor is proposing that we correct that to keep DOR, DLS happy by using free cash and putting it from this year into next year's fund.
Okay. I should have known you had it perfectly correctly.
No, the agenda gods have been good to us this evening. The orders have been perfectly grouped.
I withdraw my question.
No. So we'll do this one. So pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. The clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20 bracket backwards.
Holman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Out of the room.
Stepped out.
Okay. 11 yeas.
With that, you pass that one. 20Z, back to that one. 45,000 from stabilization to cannabis planner 2 for 45,000. Motion is receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm glad Councilor Bacon brought that up because I knew we had it, but I forgot what it was, but we do have it. In 2019, $50,000 went into the fund. In 2020, there was an additional, and this went into the general fund, $394,000, then the $1 million one that made up the $1.5 million. But the proposal here by the mayor, we had a lot of talk about this with some confusion, but I think we straightened it out, is that we allow cannabis stabilization money to pay for a planner 2 in the planning department. It's a position that exists. It's a position that currently is filled, but there is a promotion going up into planner 1 pending on the budget that we're about to adopt next week. And what Aaron Vega is proposing here is that we use the $45,000 that would coincide with the work that the Planner 2 would be doing for impact stabilization money from the cannabis industry itself. The auditor did the Cannabis Planner 2 because the state is very adamant, and Councilor Jordan pointed out in committee, that there are a lot of communities that are being challenged as to how they use the impact money themselves, and that it has to be a direct relation to what happens with the cannabis industry and the impact the industry has on the community. So this qualifies. We got the explanation as to why it's called Cannabis Planner 2, and the committee did recommend that we approve the transfer.
Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. And I would note, we also had discussion that this money may not be permanent and that the source is to be determined, and that there is awareness of that in the department going forward.
It's a good point. It's like 3 to 5 years. This money will dry up.
Yeah.
Councilor Jordan.
Oh, I wasn't really raising. I was just saying, signaling 5. It's 5 years per each one of them. But I mean, as you get other potential marijuana people or companies, you know, their 5 years would start. So it could be sort of a rolling 5. But any individual one, you can only charge them impact for 5 years.
I thought you were going to start singing the Subway tune. All right, we'll move on. All right, so motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 20Z.
Coleman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Bathroom. I believe.
Israel Rivera,
Yes. I need to go to the bathroom too.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
11 yeas.
We approve that one.
President, if we could suspend the rules and take 20/20 right bracket and 20 arrow pointing up along with item number 38 as a package.
I was going to say that.
Second that.
Right there. All right, suspend the rules, take up backslash, back rack, arrow up, and 38. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 20 backslash, Committee on Finance would order that the City Council agrees that they would like the MSBA to invite the district to use the MSBA model for Peck Middle School, recommend be adopted. Next one down is finance that the City Council agrees to proceed with the using of our previous selected consultants for the Peck School. And arrow up is that the City Council agrees to use the district's feasibility study conclusion to proceed with the new construction of Peck Middle School. And 38 is from myself. This is the order of a resolution that the council, in accordance with the bylaws, agrees to proceed with the feasibility study. And then they have the resolution that we would vote and then sign and date and send off to what the state wants. So motion is receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Before we get to you, Councilor McGivern, as a reminder, Jeffrey just told me there's the Peck School Tour on Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m., correct, Thursday? I got that right?
Yep.
All right. This Thursday, 6 to 7, Peck School Tour. Off to Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. With all this in mind, I went to the joint committee meeting to get the update on the school building with the middle school proposal itself. Besides that, the superintendent, Anthony Soda, and the chair of the building committee, Aaron Burnell, came into the finance committee meeting. The good news is the MSBA officially voted in April, the end of April, into early May, I forget the exact date, to put us, the city, back into the hopper for considering a middle school plan itself. I think most of us know with what we've adopted so far that includes some options that are on the table. What the MSBA said is, because they're letting us back in, is that they asked the city council to agree to 3 points. They make sense. One is that we use the same that we are in agreement to use the same consultant with some adjustments to the schematic design that we choose or have chosen, which is kind of already in the bond language. I'm not too sure why we have to vote on this again, but the MSBA is asking us about the Peck School location itself. And 3 is that they do welcome, with our choice, the possibility of using a model school design itself if it fits into the educational curriculum needs of the city and the site itself. Number 38, I talked with the president before the meeting. The mayor and the president got together to make sure the language was correct. Councilor McGee had filed the 3 orders previously. The 3 points are the same, but the language is, on item 38 is what the MSBA is looking for. So we just take this up as a package and recommend that we adopt it.
So motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is to pass the second reading. The clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for all of them.
Coleman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
He's in the bathroom.
He's out of the room.
Out of the room.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
11 yeas.
Will you vote, you approve those? 20.
We take 20 and 20, whatever they are
20
together.
underline and 20,
Whatever.
just gonna go with it. All right, so order that the capital stabilization account be established for fiscal year 22. Recommend it go to ordinance, and then the enterprise stabilization account send to ordinance, which they already did tonight, but motion is to receive, refer to ordinance committee, both of those?
Very simply, this was done, when the city council referred these items to the finance committee meeting, we were under the belief that these 2 stabilization funds could be created, didn't need an ordinance. We found out later that they do need an ordinance, so we quickly adjusted, referred them over to ordinance only because anything in ordinance form has to go through the ordinance committee. As I stated earlier, I thank Councilor Bacon for taking these up quickly earlier this evening, so we got them out of the way this evening, so at the next meeting we can put some money into these for next year.
All right, so these to ordinance, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we're out of the symbols, on to the lowercase. 20A, Community and Finance Service for an order that the mayor please provide funds for the sewer stabilization fund to retain consulting firm. Recommend it's been complied with. Do you want to take a B, C, and E, because they're all complied with? Yep, yep, sure. What do you mean take them out of committee?
The fund stabilization?
If I could, I apologize.
Yeah.
When you said the motion, I was trying to say something different. And stabilization, we've done
Yeah, I
it.
approved it.
Yeah.
Right, that's why.
So it's just complied with.
It was just saying that they're kind of like what we always do for record keeping.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll say it that. Yeah. Right. All right, so how about go back to the underline slash comma.
Mr. President?
Yep.
I just want to make a note that some of the counselors are not being heard in public forum, so just make sure they have their mic on. Thank you.
So go back, motion would be to receive and send to ordinance for record keeping, or how do you want to do it? Joe, what do you think?
Receive,
and say
complied
they're
with,
complied
and
with and-
adopted. I don't know.
So
It's done.
motion to receive, adopt, that they've been complied with in ordinance this evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and
All right.
send to ordinance to archive.
And send the ordinance to archive.
How's that?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There we go. A was the asking the mayor to set up the sewer stabilization. B was Community Finance to refer to know that attorney Kathleen Deegan, legal opinion on the CPA for Girls Inc. C is Community Finance, Dave Conti come in. regarding increase on the water rate effective July 1st, complied with. In E, Committee on Finance, the Council on Aging Director provide the City Council report for fiscal year 2007 to 22. All these have been complied with, so motion be received, take them up as a package. All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That they have been complied with. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, I'm out of order here. The first one, the Sewer Stabilization Fund, I believe that was Councilor Jordan and others signed on to that order. Obviously, it's been complied with the discussion that and the action that we took earlier this evening. The Finance Committee and this is an interesting one. Our opinion from Kathleen Dagan, the Assistant City Solicitor, on the CPA funds. We had a very long discussion. We thank Attorney Dagan for her continued work on this opinion. This directly was about the Girls Incorporated, Inc. and the money being used and the questions raised by councilors about maintenance versus projects and certainly preservation. And we had a lengthy discussion about that. In her proposal, it seems to be accepted, a compromise as to the monies that would be used in what the Girls Inc. would use with it. But the order itself was to take a look at and continue to look at the opinion itself, which took place. The vote itself is, as we know, is in the archives on the money itself, both by the CPA and the City Council. The Waterworks was great. Dave Conti came in, always with a wonderful show. If anybody didn't see it, we have a copy of the slideshow and the presentation. Incredible knowledge by that man with a great commission to back him up. He misses Councilor Jordan a lot, I know that, but we did fill that spot with a wonderful individual, and with both Timmy Keene joining Butch Seidel and Billy Harbless is an incredible makeup of a commission for the city. Like the wastewater treatment plant. Now, when you take a tour of the wastewater treatment plant, be careful of the day and the temperature outside. You might want to be a little cautionary there. But when there's going to be a tour of our reservoir system and our water department. If you've never seen it, please take advantage of that tour. It is incredible, and regardless of the weather, it's just a great tour. And again, the knowledge that that Mr. Conti brings into us. Mr. Conti, was hinting about retirement, and now we got some projects in the works, and he has pretty much said he'll be around for another 2 to 3 years to see the projects through. So it was a wonderful presentation, as always. And is there one more?
Fire chiefs.
E.
And the fire chief's contract.
No, not the
fire
not
chief's
that one.
contract,
That's
the other
later.
one, right?
That's it.
Councilor Jordan's order with Councilor Israel Rivera about the tax work-off program. We're saying it's complied with. Councilor Jordan can elaborate on that. We did get at a prior date the information from the COA about the tremendous benefit that this goes to some of our seniors.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, just on E, we got the report, so we're all set. Just going to review that. Appreciate your responsiveness. And yes, just to echo the words of the chairman, if people have an opportunity to visit the water department, the resources in particular, I would note the 600 Westfield Road facility and all that goes into that. I think you'll be fascinated if you have never visited there, and how the water is treated, how it comes in from the Ty-Carmody Reservoir, and then to have a tour of the various reservoirs. I think you'll be fascinated, particularly at Ty-Carmody. Just its sheer size it's amazing. And to think that we actually acquired that reservoir in 1938 and didn't use it until 1999. And it provides a daily load of over 15 million gallons, of which we're only using 6 a day today. It just goes to show you the foresight of our former city leaders that we have 4 amazing reservoirs, and we're well positioned, and everybody knows water is going to become a major issue and a major need of natural resource in the future, and this city is well positioned on water, thankfully.
Counselor Maldonado Velez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have, I guess, more of a question with 20B around the Girls Inc. I know during the Finance Committee meeting, Attorney Degnan mentioned that instead of the 150 that was requested, we're going to be giving 102, sort of like a, she called it like a settlement type of thing. I guess my question is more of like the procedure around it. Like, one, if the request was 150, the law department saying 102, like, do we have to, should we be voting on that new 102 on this new number? And then my second question following that is, what's going on with the other 48,000? Does that just go back into the CPA fund? So those are just two of my questions. I would say, like, based, yeah.
Yeah, Counselor McGarren.
Very good questions. And I'm going to give you my layperson's interpretation because I'm not too sure if I fully understood, if I understood the intent. If you remember our original vote on the CPA funds for Girls Inc., it was with an asterisk next to it, that it was legal to use these funds for these specific purposes. The issue was about maintenance, preservation, and quote-unquote, a non-public entity. Okay, I'm not going to say private, but non-public being not non-city. Because we put the asterisk next to our vote, it required the law department to vet if these were proper uses of the CPA monies. And Attorney Deegan was in the driver's seat to come back and say, you know, I've thought this out, and some of it is, and some of it I don't think is. So it's up to CPA, it's up to Girls Inc. I think I think they're going to be happy with what Attorney Deegan came back with as a dollar amount. She just spelt it out to the committee that this would be the dollar amount I agree to, or the services connected to the dollar amount. The $40,000 will, because if it doesn't get used, which I don't think it can get used because of the way we voted, will just go back into the CPA coffers to be used somewhere else.
Counselor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also wanted to comment on 20B. And I wanted to compliment the work of Attorney Degnan in this regard. And I think that this particular issue was another good learning opportunity for all of us as the past public hearing that we talked about earlier in this meeting tonight. And I think the line that was made clearer to all of us, and I include myself in that, was the line between maintenance and rehab. And so her legal opinion, I find and continue to find to be correct. The applicant was allowed to further explain certain aspects of their application. And so now applicants and the CPA committee and the city council all stand better informed as to what the funds can appropriately be used for, and people who are applying for them will know that they have to include that level of detail. And this is a settlement properly because the question of whether the actions and the funding for the particular aspects within the project had to be determined whether they were legal or not. And so this will help all future applicants meet that test and answer those questions properly, and the CPA to make it clear to them, the committee, how it's met. So I think it really was a very good thing that the questions were asked and answered, and it doesn't hurt the projects from coming forth. It's just that they'll come forth, I think, tighter and with better explanation. Thank you.
I was going to say before we voted, I wanted to thank the legal department, especially Attorney Deegan. One thing I'll point out is we asked her as a body to look at this thing.
Right.
She didn't take any sides. She looked at the rules. She wrote the opinion.
Right.
And unfortunately, it was brought to my attention, certain emails were sent that were not nice. The attorney did her job. She did it well. To potentially almost belittle someone for just doing their job to help us out is not the way we should be acting here. And I'm not saying this body was outside. So I thank the attorney for her job. It was an outstanding job. And I'm sorry that that type of stuff had to come to you. It's not how we should work in this community. She did her job. She took no sides. She helped us out. there shouldn't be that type of response just because, I get it, you have passion for something. But please don't do that to our employees who are just trying to help us out. So I'll just make that on the record. Anything further? So the motion is that all these have been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Now we're on to 20D, which is Community Finance order that Lisa Ball, the now solicitor, not acting, give a letter or the fire chief's contract. Recommend that we receive it pending passage by the budget. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did have the city solicitor, the mayor, before us. This contract was negotiated by the mayor. I believe the fire commission has a say within it, and the replacement of Chief Preskopowski will be John Kalowitz. Now, I just want to note that when you deal with the police department, it's kind of easy. Chief Scott, Chief Pratt, Chief Donahue, it's not a big deal. But when you go to the fire department, you got to go make it a little bit harder on us, Preskopowski and Kalowitz. But the chief was with us during the finance committee meeting. It was wonderful to speak with him. He's very knowledgeable. Your service is up there. Councilor Jordan asked some questions about residency. He is not in the city at the moment, but will be moving back into the city. The city solicitor, most important, pointed out that this contract shored up and is more favorable to the city part of the agreement itself than the previous contract was. The monetary is about the same, although he's starting at a lower level than where Jeff is at the moment. So therefore, by accepting, and I say that any contract negotiated by the mayor or anybody that can negotiate a contract has an impact on the budget, we get to vote on that because it's an appropriation in itself. There is enough money to pay him when he takes over. I believe it's June 19th, and then July 1, the budget is before us for whatever his salary is going to be.
Mr. President?
Yeah, Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, I don't want to make a motion yet to table, but I'm going to make a motion under a point of order on this. As I raised at the Finance Committee, and the Law Department said that they would look into it and give me a legal opinion. They haven't gotten the legal opinion yet, and here's the issue. I am unaware of any statutory authority in our ordinances to have a fire chief contract. The charter requires, Section 54, that all salaries be set by ordinance. Once, for relative to the police chief, and this was debated at the time, in 1994, we established an ordinance called 2-62, which created the authority to the mayor to basically essentially pull out from us establishing the salaries as we used to for both police chief and fire chief. We set it under this new ordinance to give that authority to the mayor to negotiate a police chief contract. That has never been done by this council for a fire chief contract. And so how can we approve a fire chief contract when you have no authority to create a fire chief contract? And the best answer I've gotten so far is, well, I guess we started doing it, and I guess, we did it for police chief, so we started doing it for fire chief. You have to have legal authority to do that. This council needs to pass an ordinance that, just like the police chief, creates the authority of the mayor or the fire commission or whomever to negotiate and grant a fire chief with all these terms. Otherwise, all of that has to be set by ordinance by this body. And that's current law. And I cannot find any citation, and the law department said, good question, we'll look into it. It's still a good question. I assume they're still looking into it, but we're not there yet. So I would say that we should table this, give them a couple more weeks, and take it up at the next meeting maybe, and see where we're at. And at that point, but I don't feel the council if should examine this question of whether there's a fire chief contract authority or not. Whether we start saying, we accept it and, we move on and, like this never happened. No, we need to do these things the right way. And so I'm raising it as a point of order because I wanted to make the points, because tabling is non-debatable. But that would be the justification for a motion to table it for 2 weeks to allow the law department to do the legal opinion.
If it helps, this exact argument was brought up, and it started with Chief Pond at the time.
Okay.
When we said that exactly what you said verbatim, and still a contractor was provided by legal at that time, so it was ultimately voted on. So it started with Chief Pond. Maybe that helps the legal department. I'm not sure, but that's how
But
it
you
all.
didn't get a legal opinion. They just sort of
Legal
they just
said
went
that
ahead and did it.
That's what they're doing going forward. Never got a legal opinion. No.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're not going. That's not okay. So we need to solve this. I don't know if the chairman has some more to.
Councilor McGee.
No, I don't have a problem tabling it, but thank you for not making the motion. Our then acting city solicitor, now city solicitor, did cite Mass General Law and did say she would get that to us.
Okay.
So I understand the makers of the question, Councilor Drain's wish to get that in writing. And Councilor McGee is right. This has been kind of a gray area for some time. The police chief is not a gray area. It actually was originally negotiated with Marty Dunn, and there were some concessions by the then Board of Aldermen and mayor as to giving up the chief solely by the mayor as what it was, and the salaries being by ordinance. And that's worked out pretty good over the years. We voted on, I believe, on Chief Pond's contract. We never voted on Jeff Preskopowski's contract, to my knowledge.
Interesting.
I'm not even sure if it was presented to us, but that's another interesting point too. So yeah, I think clarification is important. The only thing is the money for this, but we have the contract in front of us. We just have to find out the legality of the contract being in front of us. The salary itself is in the budget, which we'll be looking at on this coming Monday.
Okay.
Right, so is there a motion to table?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table it.
Motion is to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, so 20D is tabled. There's no public safety, no public service, DGNR. 23A, Committee on DGNR, to whom was referred, an order, a resolution. Oh, that one's done, sorry.
We already took care of that.
We're moving even faster. 23B, Committee on DGNR, order that Damien Cody, letter regarding Property Preservation Group 5-year report, recommend it's been complied with. Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti.
Yes, thank you. So we had a great presentation from our building commissioner. We were also joined by the Office of Planning and Development and the Board of Health. And it was an overview of the Property Preservation Group 5-year report. There was a lot that we learned about the efforts being taken over the last half a decade. It's not the problem property group, it's the preservation group. But that was something that I was a part of as a city employee. It's just great to see that it's still happening, and it's really addressed the different silos that used to exist between city departments, especially addressing these properties that need support. So overall, it was just a nice overview. Some of the things that, one of the questions that was asked was how the council can support these efforts, and just reiterating that we need to continue to fund the in-house demolition program. There is a high rate of turnover that really impacts the work that's being done, so just continuing to try and improve our employee retention. And then for what it's worth, it was mentioned that a dedicated housing court specialized attorney would be an awesome addition. So we voted that it was complied with. And I encourage folks to take a look at it if they are interested.
A motion that it's been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Want to take up C and D as a package?
Yes, please.
Motion is to take up C and D as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? C is Committee on DGNR, who was referred, in order that OPED and legal identity identify the impact of possible adding the following two conditions to the standard RFP process. D is invite in OPED to discuss the RFP process for city properties offered to the public for bid beginning at the point of city acquisition to the end of the time. That's complied with. So, Councilor Murphy-Ramaletti.
Thank you. Yeah, another great conversation that was really insightful, especially for folks who may not be familiar with how the city's RFP process works. We were provided an overview by the city, the purchasing department, and regarding item number 3 that was on the agenda, or whatever it's coming up as here, about adding these conditions. Mayor Garcia weighed in on this and informed us that he's not planning on having any conditions added. Every project has its own set of unique circumstances, and to add a standardized restriction only limits our ability, but these are things that he will take into consideration. So overall, just another great opportunity to hear from city departments. And yeah, thank you.
All right, so those have been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 23E, Commander DGNR, who was referred an order petition for Michael Moran for a 6.4 sign special permit at 938 Main Street. Recommend the petition be referred to the planning board.
Yeah, so this was, I was informed by the legal department and with the support of our administrative assistant that this should have just gone to the planning board.
All right, so motion is to send to planning board. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There is no charter and rules. We're on to joint committee. The committee on, the joint committee to whom was referred in order that the school committee, along with HPS, present third grade literacy outcomes for the past 5 years. That's been complied with. Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Thank you, Mr. President. During the meeting, we went over quite a few slides, and where we currently stand, we are currently significantly below the national grade point average. The 2022 STAR Literacy Assessment is not completed as of yet, so we'll be going by, they went by the 2021 assessment, which was at 52%. The students are above third grade reading level compared to the national norm that is at 79%. I will read, hold on one second, please. In 2017, 17% were at meeting expectation, 48%, let me make sure that number is correct, 48% were partially meeting expectation, and then we have the red, which is 33% that did not meet expectations. In 2018, 19% had meet the expectations, 56% partially met expectations, 24% did not meet expectation. Then we move on to 2019, where 3% were exceeding expectations, 20% were meeting expectations, and then 56% partially meeting expectation, 21% not meeting expectation. For 2020, as we already know, that was the year of when the pandemic hit us hard. There is no data to show for that year. And then we'll move on to 2021, which is the most current and what they went by, where 15% was meeting expectation, 55% partially meeting expectation, and then 30% did not meet expectation. So we also discussed top priority and action steps, which include complete and implement the early literacy plan, select a partner to support literacy plan development and leader support in conjunction with Relay, plan for PD for K through 2 teachers and structured literacy, and so on and so forth. That's basically what I have for you. I would suggest motion is to accept the committee's report, that the order has been complied with, but I will give an opportunity to the maker of the order to ask for any further questions, or if he has any comments that he would like to add before actually making this motion.
That was me, right? I believe. Right, Councilor
Yes.
Rivera?
Councilor
All right.
Rivera.
So, yeah, thank you guys for taking up the order and for meeting. Unfortunately, I was coaching softball at the same time, so I was not able to attend that meeting. But for me, it was pretty much trying to get a grasp of where our scores and our levels are with regards to reading literacy by 3rd grade, and to see what steps are being taken to help mitigate the issues, especially after COVID, because COVID took probably a huge toll on learning loss, I believe it is, especially with kids just pretty much getting packets throughout that COVID process. But there's another piece to it where there's the Holyoke Early Learning Initiative, and I'm trying to see if we could try to couple, I mean, they kind of already are coupled, but try to see if we could get the mayor to possibly fund, put some funding into this initiative, so that way we could try to do a citywide initiative around reading all over again, so that we could inspire the community to get behind the early literacy initiative. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
So, Councilor McGivern.
As I stated, I did attend the committee meeting for the school building update, but I was very impressed with the early literacy presentation and the vision. And there are a lot of community partners that are involved, and I agree with Councilor Rivera. You know, the city needs, I think, to even get a little bit more involved and promote the not just the public schools initiative, but the partnerships that are out in the community.
Anyone further? So motion that's been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 25B, joint committee, that the school receiver, Mr. Soto, and his team be requested to develop a formal literacy curriculum for the city as to measure increased literacy for students. This has been complied with. Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Superintendent Soto did state that financial literacy programs have been offered at both campuses for the past 4 to 5 years. Mr. Soto also expressed if any elected officials had any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to him. He'll be more than happy to go over. I did make a few notes of what were some of the approaches for this financial literacy programs they had, and some of the things they touched on, or Superintendent Soto touched on, was they learn about finance, value of money, taxes, checking and saving accounts and how to balance them, online banking, and those were just to name a few. And unless I won't make a motion until the maker of the order, if he wishes to make a comment or ask any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. So I'll leave it at that, and then I'll make the motion after.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, thank the chairman. Yeah, very briefly, we had an opportunity to, I already met with Mr. Soto personally on this as well, and he provided a very good report. I would just note that after filing this, interestingly enough, Springfield adopted this now in the Springfield Public Schools, a financial literacy and I noticed immediately, and I'm glad they did it, but the Republican had a big editorial how wonderful of an idea this was. You know, they thought this was the greatest thing and this is the best, which it is a great thing. I'm all in favor of it. Having said that, Holyoke does it, crickets, but Springfield puts it in, and it's, you know, massive editorial in support. But nevertheless, that's Springfield being Springfield. That's okay. But nevertheless, I do think, and I was glad to see that well over 100 and something kids participate. It is an elective, and these type of classes are tremendous for kids to get good real world knowledge on how finance works, just daily practical stuff on anything from getting a mortgage to having a checking account to all the stuff that we just take sort of as a routine. And it's very important practical knowledge. You know, what's a 401k? What do I do to invest? And all of these things, because it's just amazing. I remember giving a statistic one time, something I did not invent, by the way, but I did read it, and I share it, is, you know, if you're in your early 20s and you invest just $50 a month in the average index fund, they'll say an S&P 500 index fund, you could be easily a millionaire by the time you're 65 and you go to retire. It's just that small increment of continued savings and the power of compound interest, which Albert Einstein once said is the greatest force in the universe, compound interest. So that's the beauty of our young people. They have age going for them, and I want to make sure that they take advantage of their youth and putting away these small dollars to make a great future for themselves. So thank the committee for having some further discussion on it, and certainly it has been complied with.
Councilor Maldonado Velez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to real quick say, I remember when this order was first put in, one of my thoughts, because financial literacy programs are, particularly in communities of poverty, are almost a traumatic experience when you're dealing with trying to figure out how to pay your next bill, not how to budget a whole month ahead. But I will say, in the response from Mr. Soto and just seeing like what the school committee is doing, what the school department is doing, I do appreciate that this is something that's taking place so that we can make sure, hopefully, when Dean is at a place where we have our high schoolers being employed right after graduation and going back to that sort of experience, then this is something that they should definitely have in place. So I just wanted to make that note real quick.
Anyone further? So motion that's been complied with. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so
I wanted to make a quick note. I was thoroughly impressed by Superintendent Soto's approach on financial literacy. But I just wanted to make a note that I am a bit older. My financial literacy was my mama. I learned how to save and couponing and all of that with my mama. Just wanted to make that note. Thank you. Complied with.
all right, so we are on to motions, orders, resolutions. If it's going to committee, don't debate it.
Yep.
All right, 26.
Ordinance.
Councilor Jordan. So ordinance. Ordinance be created to require department head to report any loss over 250. So the ordinance, all those in favor?
Aye.
27 from Councilor Jordan.
Ordinance.
That an ordinance be created to require that when notice needs to be sent out to abutters for public notices involving lots without, so that,
Happily.
on.
Yep.
Councilor
Adding
McGivern.
Councilor McGivern.
Can I be added to this too?
Certainly, yeah. Maldonado.
Councilor Maldonado Velez. So to ordinance, all those in favor? All
Aye.
opposed? 28 from Councilor Jordan, Councilor Rivera.
Ordinance.
That the city council create an ordinance that states that no department establish user fees until they have been established by ordinance. So to ordinance, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 29 from Councilor Jordan, that the city clerk enforce ordinance 30-1G relative to broker of records and semi-annual reports, and please post them on the webpage.
Receive, adopt, refer to the clerk.
So receive, adopt, send to the clerk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 30 from Councilor Jordan, that the purchasing director and city auditor please provide the council with the lease agreement for police cars. So motion be receive, adopt, send to purchasing/auditor.
With a copy to the police chief too. I should have added that.
And a copy to the police chief, and then refer back to the council.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Should we send a copy to finance too, Joe, or?
Yeah.
With a copy to finance, case we want to review the report together.
All right, so to purchasing director, auditor, police chief,
Copy to finance.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
31 from Councilor Jordan, that the auditor please provide the city council with a financial summary of how much revenue is generated by each department. Motion would be finance.
I was actually going to say receive, adopt, refer to the auditor with a copy to finance.
All right,
We'll see
motion
what
to
she comes
receive,
up with.
adopt, send to the auditor, copy to finance.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 32 from Councilor Maldonado Velez, the handicap
Ordinance.
sign be placed for 563 South Canal Street, so it's an ordinance with a copy of the commission.
Can I be added to that one too?
Yeah, adding Councilor Rivera.
Real quick for
favor?
clarification.
Yep.
Handicap stuff goes to ordinance or
Yes.
public
Goes to
safety?
ordinance with a
Yes.
copy of the
All
commission.
right, because everybody been blowing me up thinking that I'm the one in control of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were.
I've been getting phone
thought you were
calls
too.
left and right saying, I'm hearing you're the guy to, but they're all Spanish speaking, but they're all like, I'm hearing you're the guy to talk to about handicap spaces. And I'm like,
You're the man.
all right,
Nice.
On the committee.
maybe I am.
Very powerful.
As
All right.
president, I now give you that job. No,
That's already.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 33 from Councilor Maldonado Velez, order that we add to our charter that that if a councilor is absent from a full council meeting for 3 or more consecutive meetings without written notice, their seat is considered open, so the charter and rules.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
34 from Councilor Maldonado Velez, order that when a vacancy opens up in the city council with more than 6 months left and the term of special election is required, so that would be
Charter and rules.
charter and rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 35 from Councilor Maldonado Velez, order that we have a public hearing section in our city webpage that will let the public know all the public hearings that are currently open. So that would be to
Administrative assistant.
administrative assistant.
Receive and adopt.
Webmaster.
Webmaster.
Yes, webmaster.
Motion is that's complied with because he's already working on it. No, I'm just kidding. So we'll receive, adopt, send to
Thank you.
Jeffrey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then in a week it'll be complied with.
36 also.
37 from Councilor Maldonado Velez, order that we create a new rule that would lead Department of Public Care and Safety.
Public safety.
Ordinance.
Can we, since it's kind of going with 36, can we add it in public safety so it can be discussed there and then?
And then refer it over to ordinance.
Because we'll have to refer to, I think, finance at some point if it goes through, and then ordinance with this part as well.
All
So.
right, so to public safety on 37. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 38, we already did, that's the resolution. It's 39. From myself, that the city council issue a proclamation to Jose Garcia for 26 years of service. Motion would be to receive, adopt.
Can I be added as a
26 years.
co-sponsor?
Yeah.
26 years.
Yeah, can I be added to on that?
Yeah.
Can you put everybody?
Everybody?
I'll just say all.
Oh.
Sure.
All right, so adding all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So we'll invite him in at a future meeting?
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for doing that.
40 from myself, that the city declare West Cherry an official street. I'd say take up 41 with it as a package.
Yes.
Could I be added to that
Kevin
one
was
too?
supposed to be added to that as well.
Yeah, if I could be
on it.
on
He's
41 too.
Yeah, can I be added to those two as well?
Add Councilor Rivera too.
And could I be added? I'm very familiar with that area. I have a friend that lives on that street there, and it's really, definitely needs some work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. So,
You have to ask the DPW to do a hearing first?
so that, I think they do.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, it's in such bad shape, just either pave it, or if they're gonna keep pushing the agenda of it not being official street, kind of like they did with Liberty, then they'll have to declare it.
Yeah.
So that's
They
why I
paved
give
it for
both.
years.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole problem. They've been doing it, now they're just trying to get around it. So,
And
motion
Mr.
is to take up 40 and 41 as a package,
So moved.
and then we're gonna add to this Counselor Tallman, Counselor Rivera, The same for 41.
Mr. President?
Yeah, go ahead.
The only thing, I know we're not going to get into too much debate. The only thing I did want to say, because I'm assuming we're going to adopt these and send along, just so people are aware, this is a really kind of a dangerous precedent, in my opinion, or maybe dangerous, a little harsher word, a very bad precedent that the DPW would say to taxpayers who live on private ways, we're not going to pave your street because you live on a private way, not a publicly accepted. We have private ways all over the city, okay? This is very common. And I don't know why we don't just accept them as public ways, but whatever the case may be, then go ahead and present that. But people buy a house on a street, there's 10, 12, 15 houses, and they're all paying taxes. They don't probably even realize they're on a private way. And then their street is in complete shambles, and they're not going to be eligible to have their street repaved because they're on a quote unquote private way. That's not okay. And the reason that we even have to file this in order, like, this is an obstacle, because if it's an issue for West Cherry, then I could think of a whole list of them. I mean, we recently, the most glaring probably example would be Parento, which is the very steep hill that's next to Dean Vocational, okay? That was always private, but we paved it and we took care of it. All these people pay taxes on that street, and there's a lot of those type of private ways all over the city. And, we ultimately, in this case, did many years later declare it a public street. But, the DPW either needs to bring these forward as public streets, but you can't tell these citizens, yeah, I know all of you pay taxes just like everybody else, to heck with you. That's not okay.
Councilor Bacon.
I would just say that last year or the year before, we had quite a lengthy discussion, and DPW evaluated a certain street, and depending, because there's state regulations on streets and how wide they have to be, et cetera, and it turned into a very complicated matter of having to do land takings and everything else. So it's not always straightforward. I don't think it stops us from necessarily repaving a street, but to make it an official city street is more complicated than simply.
That's why I did
So does
both.
this have to go to ordinance?
That's why I filed both.
Yeah.
So that will have to go over to DPW, because there's
So
a whole
motion-
engineering thing with that.
Motion is to receive, adopt, send to DPW, and they can choose. All those in favor? All opposed? We kind of made it easy for them. 42 we already did. On to...
You suspend the rules and take 43, 44, and 45 as a package to adopt.
I'll second that.
Motion to suspend the rules, take up 43, 44, 45. To receive, adopt, pass the first reading. 43 is $15,525.32, and this is injured on duty, and that's the police. 44 is for the fire, that's $4,480, 12 cents. That's injured on duty. And 45 is $4,480.12 for fire, injured on duty. Pass the first reading or discussion. Councilor McGivern.
Just an accounting move to separate the injured on duty firefighters, police officers being paid. Most of it is temporary and always vetted by the consultant to make sure that they are proper injured on duty hours.
So police is 5, fire is 2 and 2. So motion is passed first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 43, 44, and 45.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGivern.
Yes.
Oh, McGee. Sorry,
Yes.
I forgot McGee.
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that one.
Make a motion, Mr. President, to suspend the rules to take 45, 46, 47.
Take 46, because 45 was just done.
I'm sorry, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, and 53 is a package. Refer to Committee on
Motion.
Finance.
Let's second it.
Rules take up 46 to 40, or to 53 as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 46 is $207.64 from temp seasonal to overtime. 47 is $11,350 from firefighters to pay assistant superintendent alarms. 48 is $304.71 from education and training to overtime. 49 is $50,000 veteran benefits to claims and damages. 50 is a grant for $25,000. 51 is another, looks like another grant for $200,000. 52 is another grant for $50,000. 53 is $1 million from school and other expenses to stabilization, all to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Real-
opposed?
Real quick, Mr. President, just Finance Committee will meet on the 15th. It's our last scheduled meeting of the fiscal year. The 21st is the last City Council meeting of the fiscal year. All transfers, appropriations, acceptance of anything to do with the fiscal budget needs to be done before July 1. Hopefully, we will not be receiving any surprises. Department heads were warned that they were supposed to have everything in by the 7th. I think there's a couple of late files, but that's par for the course. But everything right now needs to be done on the 21st, and I look forward to the 22nd where we can all start breathing normal again.
All right, so off to 54 from Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti, that the council establish a rule.
Can I make a motion that we take 54, 55, 56 package and refer them to charter and rules?
All right, so 54 from Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti, establish a rule that requires any resident running to fill a vacant seat needs to obtain 50 signatures to be eligible. 55, or that the council amend its rules to create a vice president position for the council. 56, that the council create a rule whereby a candidate or elected official must disclose with the city clerk any federal, state litigation that may be pending. All the charter and rules.
Yeah,
All
Mr.
those in
President.
favor? Yep.
I'll make a friendly amendment just to refer this to legal as well, because I think it just needs their review, please.
Yep. So, 2 charter and rules with a copy to legal. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 57 from Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti, that the council, in accordance with Mass General Law, city ordinance, vote the city to accept the proposal to sell 525 Pleasant Street for $20,111 to DGNR.
Yes, please.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 58 from Councilor Jenny Rivera, order that speed humps on Eli Street between Center and Bauer Street. For speed humps, do you mean the temps or do you mean permanent ones? You'd have to get a petition from the residents on the street.
Eli and Center.
So what do you want to do? So
Well, if you want to get on the list for the temporaries, sometimes, Jenny, what you want to do is you go with the temporary and then see if the people like it. And then if they say, yeah, that's good, of course, if there's a long list to get on the temporary.
Yeah.
Then if the people feel it's good, then you got to get 2/3 of the signatures of everybody on the street to get the permanent ones put in.
So Councilor Bacon.
So actually, the petition has to come first
Right.
For the permanent.
to start the process.
Right.
The entire process.
So how about we amend this, order that the temporary speed humps be placed,
So,
and then follow up with a petition.
Yeah.
so I have an order filed because this has become a point of confusion. Because what's happening is there's a long list getting created for temporary speed humps, which should not actually be installed unless the area meets the criteria to actually have speed humps, because what would be the point of putting in temporary ones if they don't meet the other criteria for actually getting the permanent ones? Because to put in the temporary speed humps it's not a simple thing. It digs up the road, it's a project. So they really, if we're following the process, we would be responding to a petition from the citizens who want a speed hump or more. Then the engineer goes out and evaluates whether the area is eligible for the speed humps. And then, in the natural order of things, the temporaries would go in if it made sense to even do it. Because what's happening, and I totally appreciate the frustration of our citizens, the people are speeding, cutting through, blowing stop signs and everything else, and so they end up filing for the speed humps out of like a desperation of, we got to do something to slow these people down. But what we're finding is the engineers going out, and we'll be dealing with this tomorrow night in ordinance, and evaluating the areas and finding out all these people want temporary speed humps, but they're not even really coming up with the studies and the analysis to warrant.
Do you want to send this to
Yeah.
ordinance to then have it
No,
sent out?
because
I think we should send it to
we
public
need the
safety.
petition in ordinance.
Counselor Jordan.
See, I don't know if there's been, again, my last incarnation here, that was not the rules.
It's not the rule.
Okay, thank you.
Not the rule.
All right, glad to hear that. Because the old way of doing it was someone reaches out. You're their ward counselor. I'm at large, whatever the case may be. I would like to have this. This is me, Kevin, now. This isn't a rule, but I would say, have you talked to your neighbors about it? You know, do they feel is this like just you? Or have you really like socialized this with everybody else on your street? And then they'll say, yeah, I talked to Joe and Mary and so-and-so and so-and-so. And everybody's basically has a consensus, this is a good idea. We should at least try it. Then I'll file the order that says, put in temporary, all right? You get on the list. Now, by the way, on a side note, last I knew, we only had 2 sets of temporaries.
Correct. Yeah.
That needs to go in the budget to get 3, 4, 5 sets, as far as I'm concerned. But then you put in the temporary, then people say, yeah, I like it, or I don't like it. Then I'll decide if I want to sign a petition to put it in permanent. Because I don't think it's fair to say commit in a signature now when you don't even know really, did it help the problem? You get to kick the tires on the possible solution. And so I would still say go with the temporary. Now, if they say it's illegal for that street to have it, then they should report back to the ward counselor and say, I know you requested temporary, you can't do it on that street, and then that's the end of it. But
How about we do it this way? Order that we amend it to say, order to place temp speed humps there.
So moved.
If anything, they're going to come back to you and say, it doesn't comply. And then we go to the next step.
So the motion's to suspend the rules.
Send it to DPW.
The motion
just send it to
suspend the rules,
DPW.
58,
Send it to
59
that's
together.
temporary.
Doesn't need to
As
go to
temp.
ordinance.
So add that. So is there would you like that motion? To
Well,
make
let's
the temps?
take up
It would be
58 and 59
It would be
will be
as a
the
package, yeah.
Motion to
Salmon
suspend the
sets.
rules,
Alright.
take 58
So-
and 59 together.
Yeah.
So 58, 59 is a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
And
Opposed?
motion's to
Amend
friendly
both
amendment to say
make it
temporary
temp.
humps, speed humps.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motions receive, adopt, send to DPW. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. President,
Yep,
if I may just say one thing,
sure.
I just want to say that it feels like, and I'm not saying that it's anybody in particular or if it's a city rule or whatnot, but in certain areas, it's harder to actually get traffic mitigation stuff than there is in other areas in the community. Because I've driven in certain places where it feels like, why is there speed bumps here? And then in another place where it's like, why isn't there speed bumps here? So in a sense, if it comes down to like that street does not fit the criteria for a speed bump, I just feel like Jenny's filed several orders around traffic mitigation with regards to that particular area, and it feels like nothing can be done if that new order that just been filed can't be followed through with. Just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah, there's certain state laws, like I wanted stop signs in a certain area, can't. We really can't put speed humps in that area, so you kind of get stuck, and it's frustrating. But let's do this, it's sent off, and report back to you whether or not it's valid. Councilor McGivern.
One of the interesting points, though, is I'm not sure what the answer is you can do raised sidewalks without a petition.
Correct.
And without an ordinance.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Crosswalk.
And they go anywhere if the engineer wants them.
Right.
All right, so 60 from Councilor Jenny Rivera. Order to install new bleachers at McKinney Field at Kelly School. So motion be receive, adopt.
Can I be
and-
added to that one too?
Yep. Motion be receive, adopt, send to DPW.
Well,
Oh, wait, yep.
that doesn't go to the, that the Public Works deals with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else would
That's
build them?
not the public school system?
No.
No, because it's
No.
it's the field.
The park.
Yeah, it's not the school.
Very good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 61 from Councilor Izzy Rivera that Holyoke fiscal year 2023 CPA budget for the city council approval. This budget is usually projected, so
Finance?
finance. All right. Finance. All those in favor?
Yeah,
We have done both.
You want to do it in DGR?
I was
That was
asked
in
to try to get
DGR,
into
yeah.
finance. I don't know.
All right, DGNR wins tonight.
We have done both.
DGNR. All those in favor?
Well, no. Hold on. We already been sending all the CPA stuff to finance.
No, we don't.
We're meeting.
No.
No.
No, we don't. That's not.
If I could
that's
ask a question,
Yeah.
does this have to be adopted before July 1?
I think that they sent it to me to have it done as fast as possible. To my
Finance.
to my knowledge.
We're meeting on the 15th.
All right, finance is now the new
done
champion.
before July 1.
All right, to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 62. Councilor Rivera, order that the public health and DPW identify owners of the property, the corner of Lyman, North Summer Street, as well as property across from the alley. So this would be
It's a Board of Health.
identify the audit. It's
Board of
Health
Health
and
and
legal.
DPW.
Legal usually looks up the property owners.
I would say send it to public safety, I guess, and then I can
Right, so-
just bring them in, or we could send it to DGNR and have them bring it in. I don't know who would handle that.
Oh, send us public safety with a copy to Board of Health, DPW, and legal.
That's for
All those in favor?
And Jenny would like
Right.
to be added to that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? 63 from Councilor Rivera. Order to put signs at Lyman Terrace neighborhood stating resident parking only.
That's ordinance.
We can't,
That'd be, was that housing?
That was me.
huh?
No. that's-
We went through
I don't
this,
think that
the whole permit issue a couple of years ago, where we wanted to do resident parking,
That's ordinance.
but.
Well, we've done it. We've
And
done
Yeah,
it.
we did it in
petition.
Center Street.
There's a whole process.
All right, so
set up.
two ordinance, and we'll figure it out from there. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 64 from Councilor Bacon, order that the city engineer recommended traffic calming measures for Whiting Farms and Tokanuki. So
Receive, adopt, and refer to the engineer.
you
Second.
want
Second.
a committee to get the report, or?
Copy to public
Pub-
safety.
Public safety.
All right, so receive, adopt,
Someday, if-
copy to public safety. All those, all right, Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, if the maker of the order, if I could be added on to that, I have two brother-in-laws that actually live up there, and they've been telling me in the last few days that people are actually speeding up Farnham
Sure,
and Tokanuki.
sure, thank you.
So receive, adopt, public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 65 from Councilor Bacon. And Councilor Anderson Burgos, that any gates or local parks be closed and secured for closing time to reduce vandalism. So
Receive and adopt and send to the Parks Commission.
receive, adopt,
A
send to
copy
the parks.
Public safety.
Receive, adopt to Park and Rec Commission. Copy to public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Can I just, a point of information? So when we're copying things to committees, does it actually have the standing to get on the agenda? Because if I would like to revise it and stay, receive, adopt, and send it to Parks and Recs and Public Safety, if it will
Yeah,
never
do it that
get
way.
on
If
an
it's just a
agenda.
copy, you're just keeping it in there for the record. So
Yeah.
I'd say
so-
receive, adopt, send to Park and Rec Commission
And Public Safety, rather than copying. Thank you.
All
They-
those in favor?
They did put this
All
lock in
opposed?
already.
Aye.
All right.
They did put the lock in.
66 from Counselor Bacon, order that section 2-34B, hours of municipal offices employees be amended to be 8:30 to 4:30, so that would be
Ordinance.
ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 67 from Counselor Bacon, amend the speed hump ordinance that when a city engineer evaluates the report, so this would be ordinance.
So, yes, but I do want to make a comment because we've had this lengthy discussion about the temporary speed humps. So the idea of the temporary speed humps is to see if the speed humps have the desired effect for a neighborhood that has indicated to us that they want the speed humps. And I've dealt with this a lot over the last number of years in Ward 5. And whenever anybody asks me about having a speed hump, I let them know that they need to get a petition of the neighborhood. That's not to say that I can't ask for temporary speed humps. However, the purpose of putting in the temporary speed humps is to see if they will have the desired effect in a neighborhood where the people have decided that they believe they want a speed hump. So we're kind of, I think, creating confusion for the residents when we file orders to say, put in the temporary speed humps. Because then if they get them and they like them, then they have to go back to the beginning and do the petition and they still have to get the traffic study, and then they have to
So
go out
does
and
it
do
go
the
to public
counts,
safety?
which is all part of the assessment.
Ordinance. Okay.
So
Send it to
I'm just making that point because it's, I think, creating frustration for residents, but we'll
Alright,
talk
so
about it.
We'll
No,
debate it in ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 68 from Counselor Anderson Burgos and myself, that the Park and Rec install new cameras around Community Field to address the increase in vandalism. Motion would be receive, adopt, send to Park and Rec Commission and Public Safety.
Could I be added as a co-sponsor? I got that phone call too, so I appreciate you guys filing that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 69 from Counselor Givner, order request that the DPW regarding tree stump removal because of the tripping hazard in front of 10 O'Connor Ave requested by the constituents, so they want a tree stump removed.
Yeah. Does that
So-
go to the DPW?
Yeah, forestry. It's
Okay.
part, so motion is receive, adopt, send to DPW/forestry. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 70 from Counselor Givner, order request with public support to have speed humps, temps regularly, O'Connor Ave, Clinton Ave, so that would be, since they're temporary, motion is receive, adopt, send to DPW.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 71 from Counselor Givner, with community support, Wilmer Puello being unable to serve in his community and fulfill his obligations as a member of the Holyoke City Council, provide a letter of resignation to the mayor by July 1st. I would say send that to the city solicitor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Why?
What's the motion from the counselor on this? I want to hear the motion.
I don't want to debate it because this would be a
I don't.
personnel issue.
I'm
That's
not
why I
interested
don't-
in your opinion. I want to hear the counselor's motion.
I don't want any discussion in the chamber because it's a personnel issue. And that's
You're
that's
you're damn right it's a personnel matter. I'm going to make a motion to give this leave to withdraw with prejudice.
Second.
I just made a motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right. So hold on. Hold on. Stop yelling. All I'm saying is I don't want us to go down a personnel issue here. That's all I'm stating for the record. So there is a motion to give leave to withdraw. It was seconded. And I don't want to do a discussion with this because I think we're going down a road that we shouldn't because it's a personnel
Shouldn't be
issue.
on the road at all.
So, question, Councilor Giffner.
I'm happy to share that I have looked at other cities and how they deal with things like this. We have a member of the council who's not available. Many cities have in their charter that after missing 3 meetings, unless you have like a health issue or some kind of reason that says you can come back, or if you can come in by Zoom or something and take part, that you can still be on the council. But in this case, I think it's worth looking into what to do next.
Agreed.
So there is a motion. It was seconded to give leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
I'd say I'm not sure actually. So for the ayes to give leave to withdraw, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the ayes don't have it. So there is no motion to give leave to withdraw.
Motion to refer to the law department.
I
That was
would-
the original
yep.
suggestion, I guess. So, okay.
Should just go to the law department, let them in personnel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you,
70
Councilor Givner.
72 from Councilor Givner, that give community support that the city council request, or the city of Holyoke request, PVTA bus stop be added to Appleton between Linden and Locust. Is there a process for this? Is it ordinance, or do we just receive
Oh,
and
I'm
send
sorry.
it to PVTA?
Request a PVTA bus stop. Yeah, you'd send it to the PVTA.
Yes.
I looked through their website.
And then there's
There's
an
a weird
ordinance
thing.
too.
There's a weird.
We had a big battle with PVTA,
Yeah.
if I could, Mr. President.
That's why.
They just start putting up bus stops. Community college did it too, anywhere. And that's not fair to the residents, not fair to businesses. It's by ordinance.
Yeah, I'd say. I remember.
No, they need an ordinance, but once you have the ordinance, they have to agree to actually go
Well, they
put the
pay
shelter
for
up.
it, so yeah, they
Yeah.
it's the cart before the horse.
So how about?
It's my understanding that there wasn't a bus stop there and it was removed, so.
So how about we send an
an
ordinance with a copy to the PVTA to invite them in?
Yeah, they're going to need to come in because they may say no.
Yeah,
Right, if they don't have ridership.
All those in favor?
Aye.
there's no stop.
73 from Councilor Givner. With community support, Pouliot Pool will be free to Holyoke residents with a target market of students and seniors. The pool pass should be easily obtainable.
Ordinance?
Ordinance
This would be
with the other
ordinance.
one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 74 from Councilor Givner, order that the handicap spot in the ordinance located at the east side of Pleasant Street, 200 feet from, be removed. So that'd be ordinance as well.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, late files. Late file A, street vendor license application for location will be around 130 Race Street. So this-
Ordinance.
Ordinance, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Oh, this goes with it. B, from Counselor Jordan, that the school receiver and police chief please appear before Public Safety Committee to discuss the school safety shooter protocol and training.
Yep.
That would be to Public Safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
C is from myself, that we give a proclamation to Barbara Bernard, who will be turning 95 years young. And that will be on July 13th. And
Motion to adopt it.
motion will be receive, adopt, take final action tonight. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is to grant the proclamation. And we will, this came from former Councilor Patty Devine, so she will do the
Do
stuff.
the honors for, yeah.
So to approve that, all those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? D is also from myself, order that section 2-40 and 2-41 of the city ordinances regarding vacation leave be amended. So that'd be ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? E from myself, order that the city council invite in Holyoke High School Purple Knights volleyball team. They captured the South Division title with a record of 8-0, and their overall record was 11-1, or 15-1. Sorry.
We challenge them to a game.
Yeah.
No, not that.
Oh,
not
we'd
this one,
lose
though.
for sure.
Yeah, Judd. We know our limitations. So this one would be to receive, adopt, and take final action and invite them in. And we'll, I remember, I think you used to have the small proclamations or something like that, or no? I'll
I
follow
think we
up with
gave one to the whole team.
We'll give one to the whole team.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? F is from Councilor Israel Rivera. Order at residents on 326 Elm Street want a handicap sign, so that would be to
Ordinance.
ordinance. No,
And-
Oh, no longer, remove it, no longer
Yeah, okay.
needed.
Oh, remove.
Ordinance.
Still ordinance, still
Ordinance, yep.
Sorry about that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? G, the following was sent, so there's a communication from Bob Parent from June 6, 2022, in response to your order filed September 7th, which was a Public Safety Committee. What is this for? Oh, just a report. All right. And was this for ordinance or? So to ordinance. It's a communication he's following up on. Michigan Ave and some other stuff. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
H, last one, for Councilor McGivern.
Finance.
$2,865 from veteran benefits to city administrative assistant to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is it.
Motion to
is
adjourn.
Adjourn. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.
Good evening.